Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Commentary Position Podcast, episode number 10. Diaz in Spanish? I don't know why I just ran thought about Spanish for a second.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yes.
Yeah. Shout out to the school system. So when this is our Friday Night SmackDown review. We didn't do it yesterday because trying something not a little bit different because we've done this before, like with past iterations, but trying something different. Had to let it marinate from the hours and night before.
Yeah,
But
there was definitely a an initial feeling after the show that, upon a bit of hindsight, that's different. And now the real opinion is ready.
Real formed opinions are
Yeah,
there.
we had to sit on this one for a minute. It wouldn't have what we would have done theoretically last night would not be
you guys at all.
No.
You probably would have looked at both of us a little bit differently if we had a recording last night. Because at least for me, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was heated.
I wasn't so much. I wasn't.
Confused.
I was like, I had a much higher thought or view or opinion of the show right after it ended when I watched it live. Upon a little hindsight and rewatch, it was like, yeah, I would have probably said some things last night that I might want to take back. So
yeah. And first of all, as always, my name is PTP, Percy, whichever you prefer. That man that was just speaking is G. Kind of covered how we were doing, I guess, in the initial.
Yeah.
How we were feeling. Before we get into the episode at hand, we want to remind you guys to once again subscribe to the channel. Road to 500.
Yep.
What's that?
Yep. Subscribe, comment. I saw a couple. We appreciate y'all. So, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Terry.
It's gonna be a hallmark of the show. You might as well just put that in every description. Shout out to Terry.
I was gonna find new ways to mix it in without knowing when it's gonna happen. It's gonna be like our podcast version of an RKO.
Yep.
Just out of nowhere.
Literally.
Yeah. Let's jump right into it. So obviously they were in Chicago. Crowd was nice for the most part, I would say.
For the bigger moments, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as loud as not as super loud. I mean, there was 16,000, but if you compare it to say War Games when Punk returned, not even close.
Yeah, it wasn't that hot. It wasn't that hot, but it was more or less. You knew who they were happy to see, which I mean that's kind of a normal thing that happens when they go to certain cities. Some guys are more over than others, whether it be the booking or things of that nature. But Chicago overall did their part, I'd say.
Yeah, they're a smart crowd, and sometimes a little.
They tried to be London.
They have their yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be a regular thing now after all that, where American crowds are going to start copying that singing, chanting stuff. But Chicago's a smart crowd, and on occasion they have a bit of that. No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, Canada, but they can occasionally have a bit of that bizarro world feel to them, where
some guys get way more love in those cities than anywhere else.
Makes for
interesting reactions.
That's true.
Yeah. But so of course the hometown boy, CM Punk opens the show, kind of similar to what he did during the contract signing. Talked about how he wasn't supposed to be here, and he's just a young kid from Chicago who made it to the big time and is living his dream. Thanked the fans for all the support over the years and chanting his name for the last 10 years. More or less kind of what he's been like doing in spurts since he's returned. Which isn't a bad thing, but you're kind of thinking like remember when he was like in his AEW run and he kind of was like doing like a thank you tour in every single city and everybody was like, "Okay, when are you going to like start talking trash to somebody again?"
Yeah.
He's kind of in that type of mode unless like with like Seth or Drew, where it's like, okay, now I have to address these people before I say, oh, thank you to the fans, now back to business. I guess it's kind of weird that way. So Paul Heyman came out a little bit after that, talked about how, now this is interesting when he said after, I think, Punk's match with Drew, Punk said he thought about quitting, but then Paul was like, yo, like, the family needs your help, we need you for War Games. He came back and now Punk owes him a favor. He asked him what the favor was again, to where Punk says, you know, if Roman's not here yet, I'm gonna just wait till he's here, because it kind of affects him a little bit, which we'll get into later.
Right.
Opening segment wasn't bad. I think they said like the flashback to the I think not later, but like kind of in the beginning where I guess they had like a trip down memory lane or whatever. It was kind of like a culmination of their promo from like 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they kind of had like a heart-to-heart during Punk's feud with Lesnar.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of like a reminder of when Heyman came out and like asked Punk to leave because Bloodline 2.0 was going to bounce his ass if he didn't, and he asked him to take him with him, and that sort of started the whole favor thing. It was a little bit of all that mixed into one. Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, in the beginning I had a lot more like, and I think we'll kind of like at least like kind of chronologically walk you guys through it. At least for me, hearing from the beginning of the show, I was a lot more invested initially because obviously it was like, you know, it was heartfelt. They were in Chicago. Paul's a really good actor. I mean, he gets credit for it now, probably a lot more than he used to, but
for sure, yes.
Yeah, Paul's emotion definitely kind of saves some of the segments for me because it's like, okay, well, if he's invested, then I can somewhat care a little bit more.
He is godly. He's godly. He could walk into. I mean, Paul Heyman is so good that he could walk into the ring and literally a steaming pile of shit, and he could pro him with that and make the crowd cheer it. Like, he's just that good.
Yeah. So it's like from a perspective of that, like, you know, Heyman even kind of sold it where he was like, you know, I have one favor for you. What is this favor? And it was like, you almost kind of thought like, oh, like maybe he wants help again, and it's like, nope, just remind me, because whatever it is, I'm gonna say yes. Is what he kind of eventually hinted at, but
yeah,
but at least later in the night we kind of get, you know, what that favor was, which we will definitely ad nauseum have some things in a vacuum to talk about. But after that, the hype moment, I'll probably say like one of the highs of the night, if I had to say one. We had Rey Fenix debut against Nathan Frazer, and like I said in one of the last reviews, Chicago was the perfect city because obviously AEW, all the all-ins, all-outs, and whatnot, they've seen Phoenix for the past 4 years. That's a safe place. Yeah, it's a safe place for you to meet them at. And then you got them in there with Nathan, who, granted, I will say he did have a couple of flubs. He usually is not that. He usually doesn't have that many mess ups. I don't know if it could have been because like, no, that was his first main roster appearance.
And a chemistry thing. And a chemistry thing. Like, they're just,
yeah, first time working together.
Yep.
But honestly, what did you think of his debut? I remember we talked about it a little bit, but
looking back on it now, it was fine. My only, I guess, if you want to call it gripe, is that I think it was probably, unless it was on purpose for Nathan too, which nobody has said. If it was on purpose for Nathan too, then it makes a little bit more sense. But I think it was a little too competitive, and I think Phoenix should have been a little more dominant in his win than he was. It might be a minor gripe. It's just my opinion, especially with someone of his stature and his debut. Like, he could have looked stronger and more decisive in winning, unless this is like a dual thing where, like, you know, Nathan's getting a rub and a push, and this was to showcase him too, because there's plans for him. It makes a little more sense then, but in a vacuum, I think Ray should have looked a little more dominant and won it in a little bit more dominant fashion than he did. Minor gripe maybe, but
I feel like
otherwise, I mean, it was a fine debut. Ray got all his stuff in. He was over, and he looked great. I just think
he got in everything, which I kind of was worried about in a way, because I mean, Ray's offense isn't really like that crazy, but I'm not gonna lie, it is very intricate as far as, like, like his rebound, spin kick, his rope running moves, which are phenomenal, by the way. Certain guys are gonna have to be in the ring with him at all times to really make it work. I mean, or like if you did it with a guy like Omos or like Obafemi, it might be a banger at this point. If I'm really looking at it from hindsight, like I feel like him and Obafemi would probably have like really good matches.
I could agree. I would agree with that. Probably, yes.
Yeah, and I kind of thought like how the Gunther match was with Axiom in Spain, where I feel like inevitably, and we talked about this too, I'm pretty sure Fraxium is getting the call up, because there would be no other reason why you would give two members of a tag team who are the champions singles matches against high profile or notably, like, talented competitors, and your idea isn't to, like, okay, we're gonna call these guys up eventually. I feel like that's kind of just planting seeds.
If that's the case, and it's the showcase so that they could be more highly regarded, and more welcomed, and already like one step into a push once they debut, it makes sense. But like I said, just in a vacuum, because it's Ray's debut, it was fine. I have no issue with it. I just think maybe you give it another minute of time, and Ray does more of his stuff and looks a little more dominant in winning than he did. That's it. People might argue with me and about it or have different opinions. I just think they could have made him look a little stronger than he was. They did in the win. Obviously he was going to win, but a little more quote unquote dominant. I'm not saying because, he's that much bigger or anything like that, but just in general, he should have won a little more decisively than he did. That's it. It's probably a minor complaint, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad to have him, and like I said, he's one of those guys who can work with a broom and have a good match. So it's certainly much needed. Depending on how the draft goes, he's very needed. So,
and one thing of note also is like the promo skills that people are kind of worried about, because at least I think in AEW they didn't talk as much. Him and Penta put those to bed with their post-match promos.
That's the irony of it. Is like people seem to. I understand, like in AEW they didn't get a lot of mic time, but when they did, they were fine. Like, why were people thinking that like?
People didn't watch them in Impact when obviously they were on top of the world. Penta was their world champion. Lucha Underground, Phoenix was one of the top guys in Lucha Underground, and he had some crazy stories over there. It's like these guys can talk. It's just certain companies, obviously. AEW was more centered around wrestling, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows that now. So
yeah,
WWE being more character driven, they have free reign to do both now, where they can get in the ring, sell you a story, but then when they're on the mic, you feel like the Latin passion, the fire, all that stuff that comes from them.
right.
And
I get. Look, and I get that both of them don't speak perfect fluent English.
Yeah, it's like
but
it's good. Like they mix both.
It's good and it's enough. It's certainly understandable enough, and you feel the personality, and you feel the fire, and you feel the passion, and you get what they're saying, and what their point is, and what their mission is. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
he's not going to be in there. He's not going to be in there promo battling the Codys and Cenas of the world and holding his own. But he's completely fine.
Yeah. So, but then also after that, after the post-match promo, basically kind of foreshadowed or set up something for next week. They had Legado del Fantasma watching the match backstage. Santos is talking about how, see, this is what I expect from you guys. Like, that's the type of wins we need to get. And basically Humberto's like, hey, respectfully, he kind of ass. Like, we familiar out here. Like, what you mean? Like, Legado, like, I could beat him in my sleep. So now we get Berto and Phoenix next week, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm very much excited for because Berto is a dog.
If they give him enough time and let him go, yes.
Oh yeah, if they get time, that could be match of the night.
As of right now, I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, if they get
point, like, if it's how it looks right now, they'll keep it. It'll probably be match of the night.
Now, do they get 10, 12 or more minutes to do it? That's the question.
That is true. I think him and Fraser got what, 7, 6 maybe.
Yeah, 7-ish, 7, something like that. Yeah, they got to get.
Yeah, I mean,
if they want to show
at minimum, they probably get like 8 or 9 minimum.
If they want to showcase, they can give them 10. It's a 3-hour show. They can give them 10.
Oh yeah, definitely. Shoot, they gave Zelina and respectfully, they gave Zelina and Piper and Niven like 12 minutes. 12 minutes.
It was like 15. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if they can get him 15, and I get it, like, obviously Zelina was trying to get her credibility built up. If you can give them 15, you could definitely give Phoenix 12, 13 minutes.
Well, I mean, on a 3-hour show, you can give a match like that, especially if you're trying to showcase Ray and build him up like they're doing with Penta, or have done with Penta to this point. You got to give him. Yeah. You can't give him 7 minutes. You can't give him 7 minutes, especially if he's in the ring with somebody else who can go. Even if they're not the most, even if Berto's not the most over guy on the roster, fine, but he can still go. Give them 10 minutes. You can find a way to give them 10 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something I might pour for show.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah. So after that, I think it was Drew McIntyre had a little segment. He had an eye patch. Not sure. I mean, obviously they worked into it, basically saying like, the build up of the story and everything like that. And then I guess when Priest chokeslammed him on the hood of the car, glass popped up and I guess like scratched his retina or something, or scratched his cornea, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I would assume that's story, but maybe.
Yeah,
it's not.
When you watch it back, you barely see any glass come up, and they played it twice, so probably definitely a story thing, or he's trying to bait him into something for next week.
Yeah, it adds more fuel to Drew's fire to probably inevitably win.
Yeah,
sure. Fine. I love Drew. I don't care what he does. I love Drew. Drew can do pretty much anything, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, Then he brought up the praying thing again, which I feel like was one of his funnier moments with the Punk feud. As far as like, I prayed for you to I prayed for you to get injured. It's like basically like, when I pray, bad things happen. If that's like something he like runs with moving forward, I'm all for it because that is some.
Oh yeah, he's a troll. I love it.
Yeah, and it's like it has a good bit of humor with also being like, okay, like, if he's the Scottish psychopath, he's praying for bad things to happen to people. It's like that's like just the complete opposite of what praying's supposed to do. So it's like it plays both into like comedy and then like his gimmick as a whole. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's supposed
definitely
to be a
solid.
little bit. It's supposed to be a little bit like tongue in cheek in execution, but in his own way, he's serious.
Yeah, he's like very much dead serious.
Yeah, like deep down, he's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Well, I guess kind of like a mini summary. Braun Strowman was out there, basically talking about how he was gonna beat Jacob Fatu in a number one contenders match. I didn't know it was a number one contenders match until till that segment.
Oh, I
But
did. Yeah.
yeah, unless they said it last week and I just blanked out.
Um, I don't know if they did it exactly then, but it wasn't long after. Yeah,
Oh, that they
they did.
confirmed it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the usual. They ran into Solo and Tama. LA Knight shows up. They do their spiel. LA Knight's facing Tama Tonga in a one-on-one match. Is it sad to say that like Tama Tonga has like now maybe I'm tweaking. Have his matches really been like exceptional to you?
No.
And I
No.
feel like it's weird and I feel like it sucks to say that because I'm like Tonga was way better than like Tonga Loa when you would look at their New Japan run. But it's like I don't know if they're just booking him wrong or if he just can't do shit, or if they're not allowing him to do shit. Like I don't know what it is.
I think it's both. I think they're booking him to be like the jobber lackey of the group at the moment without his partner, and they're also probably booking the match to where he just looks like a a geek. I got all right, for lack of a better word, like a geek. Like
Yeah,
I know he
because
can. I know he can. I know he can do more, and I think they're. I don't know. I can't say it's part of a storyline because there's no indication that it is. I just think for right now, until his tag partner comes back, until they resolve what they're doing with that bloodline, I think they're just sort of treading water, and they're just sort of kind of like presenting him as like the lackey, uh, eat moves, eat pins machine part of the group, and
yeah,
just kind of not presented to like his fullest ability,
yeah,
and that's sad. Honestly,
yeah.
it's sad because
Because if anything, mm-hmm.
I know he's better than that. We all know he's better than that,
Yeah.
and
I kind of think it's
it's
like the
not.
Jacob thing. Like what they said, Jacob was like they were scared to let Jacob talk at first because they said that like okay, like maybe Jacob's like a lot better than Solo on the mic, and if we want to sell Solo as his leader, the members have to not look like they can do things without him. Tama Tonga definitely, respectfully, like no shade to Solo or anybody in the New Bloodline, but Tonga on that mic is fire when they actually let him use words. In the ring, he's definitely like a badass. Like I think that's what's Haku's son or something like that.
Uh, yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so.
like
Yes.
yeah, like it's Haku's kid. Like Haku was exceptional. So if he's in there, like I said, like from New Japan, like he was doing splashes, um, Samoan drops, the whole nine. Like he had like he had character obviously in New Japan, like the same way he does now with the whole like catchphrase thing, but it's like the matches just don't add up, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's just it's they need to like they're treading water with that bloodline thing because I don't think they've got it pegged what's happening with it, or they know what they're doing, but they're just until they get there, they're just sort of treading water.
Yeah.
I think once Tangaloa comes back and um they split Solo and Jacob, which hurry up and do it already.
Yeah.
And that like maybe like the bloodline, the 2.0 or the renegade bloodline, whatever you're calling it, is run by Jacob, and you bring in hurry up already, Zillow or Hikaleo, and Jacob leading, but then like Tangaloa and Tamatonga as a straight up tag team, like with that presentation of the renegade of them being the renegades and being chaos makers, because Jacob's the one in charge now, and Jacob's pure chaos, but in like the best way.
Yeah, like
Present,
strategical chaos.
but present them that then once they're back, all back, once Tangaloa is back and they're together, they could be as a team. They with that presentation of like chaos agents, where then you're gonna then I think you could see the fire again. You'll see the real ability. You could see the fire in the promo and all that. Until then, I think they're just treading water, and he's just sort of like, well, Solo's higher up on the ladder, obviously, and Jacob is skyrocketed. He's just sort of the odd man out, so he's just going to be presented as like the weak link of the group, and that's basically what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
Sad as it is for now, but like I said, they need to resolve that. Obviously, they're not going to resolve it until like Mania or after.
Within the immediate like weeks, we're probably not going to see like
much it could be booking. But... It could be after Mania.
Yeah, if the split happens, which fingers crossed, they probably like lead to it, especially with like the lay of the land for title matches and stuff like that.
It's got to be Mania or after, where they dump Solo, or like Solo screws up again, and then you know what I mean, and then they just beat him down, and he's on his own, and that could tie into what theoretically could go on with Roman, where Jimmy's not with Roman anymore. Like Jimmy could end up with his brother. In theory, he could end up with his brother, and and if Roman doesn't have a wise man, he could get his old enforcer back, and like Solo could be his maybe, because obviously Solo is going to be the one out, and Jacob's going to lead the group, and then I don't think you don't have them present Solo as like on his own, or you could for a little bit where like he's pissed off that he got dumped and he still feels like he's the tribal chief and whatever it is, and he could feud with them as a pseudo babyface. I don't think they would like full on cheer him immediately, but like as a pseudo babyface, and then he goes to Roman at some point, acknowledges Roman, and then like he's with Roman again, and then it's him and Roman.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I don't think they would go back to like he could probably like they could like make an alliance of sorts, but
well, yeah,
it's like I feel like it would kind of be like the War Games thing where they were all like in agreement of like doing what they wanted to do, but they all got their own like they didn't completely revert, which is kind of what probably most people would probably fear with it. But at that point, like Solo's been talking for like the past couple of months. If he goes back to like not right hand man, but kind of like stoic enforcer type, it would kind of be like okay, like now we're kind of working it back a little more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but they don't necessarily have to even go that far. But he could like feud with them, get his ass handed to him, and then be like, you know what? I understand when I was at my best is, and then he goes to Roman and, they could play that out over a number of shows or appearances or whatever, and then he finally he acknowledges Roman, and then maybe they have a thing where that could lead to War Games where he helps him, or they have some sort of match where they team up with each other, and at least he acknowledges Roman, and they're back to being quote unquote family again, but they don't necessarily have to be together all the time.
Yeah, I don't think it would be I don't think it'd be like the original family where it's they talk
with Jimmy, with Jimmy.
Whenever. Yeah.
Like with Jimmy now, where Jimmy's doing stuff on his own, but damn well if
he can still help Roman if he has to.
Exactly. Same with Solo, but Solo can be his own guy, but still pseudo bloodline. He's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Whereas he acknowledges Roman. Roman's a tribal chief. Family above all. He can still use a little bit of that in his style presentation and his promos, but he's also 1 foot out where he's doing his own thing. Where he could be in the U.S. title picture or whatever it might be, and he could still be a strong character, but he's also, when it's needed, he's there. And if it plays into the storyline, it makes sense for him to be there. That's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely workable.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, and LA Knight won, by the way. I mean, obviously, if you couldn't tell. I was I feel at this point, I thought about as we were talking, I'm thinking about him dang, LA Knight won, and it's just kind of damn, that's it.
Is it? This might be a hot take.
Oh, let's see.
Now, I like LA Knight.
Right.
I like it. I like his promos and all that kind of stuff, but is it just me, or is the general presentation, or I guess you could say, is it the act? Is it getting stale and to the point where I'm starting to not care? I'm not so invested in him as a character at this particular point, because it's it's getting old. Can they tweak him a little bit or move him up or something like that? Make him a little more serious and because I'm starting to kind of.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah, I feel he needs to be I feel his gimmick is too good for the title that they keep making him fight for.
And it's
that type of charisma should be fighting for a world championship, not the United States Championship.
And a little more depth and maybe occasionally some anger, a little more anger to his promos, because he's starting to feel I know he's better. Don't get me wrong. I know he's better than this. Right. He's really good, and he's amazing on the microphone. But can we add a little more depth to it, because he's starting to feel like a one-trick pony? And I'm not trying to hate on him, but that's what it feels. That's what it feels like. He's stuck.
The moment that he could have had that moment of death and progression was the Shinsuke feud, and they missed the bullet. Because I feel in the beginning stages of that feud, where Shinsuke had him mapped out and said your confidence is blinding you, and it's gonna you think you're untouchable, and it's gonna make you lose, and eventually LA Knight went into it thinking oh, Shinsuke's another guy, I'm gonna hit him with this BFT, I'm gonna pack it up, and he lost when Shinsuke got his first opportunity. And now it's when people said on commentary too, it was oh, is LA Knight's confidence blinding him? Did he underestimate somebody who was a former champion in his own right? There's so many things, and it's LA Knight didn't even acknowledge the fact that, oh, maybe I am a little overzealous. Maybe I did underestimate this guy. He just kind of did the same old, said, I'm going to win it back. Whose game is it? It's you could have progressed them right in that moment. But you
Yep. Yeah, it's a booking thing. He's starting to feel like a one-trick pony. I love him, and it's nothing about his in-ring ability or his promo ability, but it's you're booking him like a one-trick pony. And admittedly, the division needs some depth. Obviously,
The US
and
title
some
is way
more
weaker than the IC one.
and some more quality. So I mean, admittedly, they're not giving him, they're not giving him Thanksgiving dinner here to work with. They're giving him like the mashed potatoes and like the cranberry sauce, and he's trying to make do in certain ways. He's trying to make do with it, but he is starting to feel like a one-trick pony. Maybe he gets moved. And
him on Raw might be more beneficial. I kind of can agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Like Raw probably fits his like aesthetic more.
Oh shit, yeah, absolutely. Whether it's Intercontinental title, because that's obviously higher on the totem pole than the U.S. title at the moment. They can fix that, but it's hard. But either one, like, he would fit.
Yeah,
you give him a little. You give him
in the world title scene. He has like interactions with Logan and a bunch of guys on that side already. He fit like a glove. I think him.
I mean, he had a shot at. He had it. He had a shot. He had a shot at Roman, and you got a little bit more serious LA Knight and a little bit more of what he should be continuously doing. At that point, he can do that. Just give him a little edge to his character and a better opponents, and a change, and he's good to go.
He'll light it up.
He feels like he's in quicksand now, and he's being like the presentation, the booking, whatever it is, like he's just kind of feeling like I'm not blaming him. He's feeling like and coming off like a one-trick pony at this point. He'll always pop the crowd and all that kind of stuff. I'm not taking from him. It's just the position he's in right now. It's like, eh.
Yeah.
And I get that there's not a lot of fire, because what are they giving him that's fire that he can be fire with? Because realistic, I mean, even with 2 weeks left, now we know it's Jacob. We might see a little bit of that fire, but it's only going to be for 2 weeks, because I don't see how Jacob's going to lose. Exactly. Unless I just don't see it. Jacob's going to beat him.
Yeah. But I mean, so what? I guess we'll get like 2 weeks of like them promoting each other, which should be good. It should probably invest us a little bit more.
That should be, yeah.
Because Jacob is Jacob. Jacob gonna bring that intensity, and like you said, if that's what brings LA Knight, back to like the intense side of things, because I feel like his bloodline work was when we got the most intensity out of him. So kind of you kill two birds with one stone. Jacob gets the rub, and LA Knight can kind of rekindle some of the bloodline fire that he had in the past.
And I wouldn't if he doesn't get moved. I wouldn't mind that, because at least you can get more fire out of him. You can get an angry LA Knight, and you can get an LA Knight like stacked against him or whatever it is. Especially if they do bring in, I don't know when Tongaloa's coming back. I don't know when they could debut Hikuleo or Zilla at any point. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying like next week, but at any point. And an LA Knight chasing the title, if he's not moved, against the basically unstoppable Jacob with his new bloodline minus Solo. You get a little more fire out of LA Knight. You get a little more serious out of him. You get him chasing. You get him odds stacked against him to get another shot. And even if he gets another shot, the odds are stacked against him, because Jacob's a genuine monster. Then you got something. At least for a while, you got something.
Yeah.
And I'd buy it. So, yeah, do that.
Yeah. Most definitely. Let's see. Oh, another Paul Heyman segment backstage. Kind of touched on it a little bit as far as him saying like whatever the favor was, the answer would be yes. He thought Roman was
like what he basically said. He basically said whatever it is, yes. Just kind of like, but like, sort of like, just tell me already. Whatever it is, just fine. Yes. Whatever it is, yes. Just, but like,
in a panicky
tell
way.
me, in a panicky way, because Roman's upset and Paul's upset and he doesn't know what's going on. So it's just kind of like, it was kind of like, just tell me already. Whatever it is, yes, just tell me. you know,
and then
I'm kind of in a corner here, which is fine because that made sense.
Sold it a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically he thought Roman had arrived in the truck. It was Seth. Random fun fact I saw. I think like they said Seth wore a pair of boots that Bray Wyatt wore on one of his like last appearances, which I thought was pretty cool because I didn't even notice the boots being
You know what?
similar.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, when I seen it, I was like,
I,
that was cool for him to do to pay homage.
I didn't honestly didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
So good eye on that.
Yeah, whatever post I seen that on or whoever caught that, I'm like that's some crazy detail that I didn't even think about. But
No, I
yeah,
did. Yeah, I didn't even notice.
yeah, like Rollins basically saying like I want to know the favor too. I feel like Rollins playing the troll card that night was probably the best decision he could have did because obviously the center of it probably is Punk and Roman in a weird way. So if Rollins is just like I only really have beef with one of you, and I have beef with you because you got in my way. For him to just troll the entire night and be like, I want to see Paul squirm, or let's see how Roman reacts to reality. It was a pretty smart idea.
I don't know. Oh, there I am. About. Sorry, my headset went off for a second.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
All right. So what did you say? Since my headset went off for a second.
Basically saying like how they made Rollins kind of like the troll guy for the night, or like he wanted to see Paul squirm and Roman face reality. It was kind of an ideal role for him to play that night.
Yeah, he seems like a. Is it me or is he like just? Unless something wacky is gonna be done with him, he just feels like he's definitely the third wheel in this, and feels more like an afterthought in this. I mean, I don't know what's coming. Obviously, like
Yeah,
we could.
I
There
feel
could
like they
be.
all I feel like they all have like their meaningful like reasons to be in it. But at least like from how he's been explaining it the past few weeks, as far as Roman pretty much got back on his radar because Roman didn't pull the trigger. So now Rollins is like, now I got to do your job for you, like I always do, at least in hindsight, because the whole architect and the planner thing. But in certain aspects, obviously, like Punk and Roman are probably like a inch or two ahead of Rollins Punk, but it all kind of melts together in a weird way.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he fits, but he seems like the third wheel in this, and obviously the craziness of what he says about Roman should have done this or Roman should have done that, but what about what Seth himself does?
Hmm.
He's his Punk obsession, and what he did to Roman at the Rumble, and then Roman got the get back on him, and they've not in story they've been against each other for a long time,
Right.
but like the try to like mind game Roman, like this is all your fault, like, well, okay, homie, but like what have you been doing, like he's the angel in all this, it's just
Yeah. Which I feel like
I mean
eventually we'll kind of just get like the payoff when they like get a proper feud, because we got a glimpse of it from the Rumble when like Rollins threw on the gear and made the music, like came out to the crowd and everything to like make fun of him. I feel like they've yet to
well,
dive into it completely.
yeah, the mind games, yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
it's interesting though for the most part. At least like I said, at this point in the night, once again, still hype for the potential of this favor. Especially just like because Rollins was like, like if this affects me too, not really like probably in a way that it would affect Roman, obviously, which we will, which we kind of saw. But he's like, oh, if this affects me too, shoot, I'm in the match. Let me figure out which you. So built intrigue for the inevitable end of the night.
yeah.
So we get to one of the more talked about moments from Friday. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton with their face-to-face promo. I'll let you take this one first.
Clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Clusterfuck. It just neither one of them came out of this looking good. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't. I think something was scripted, at least to a degree. I'm sure Charlotte probably got more bullet points than a script, but Tiffany probably got more of a script than bullet points.
Right.
It didn't mesh. It didn't work, and you know, I don't know if something was said that pissed Tiffany off, and then Tiffany said something to piss Charlotte off, or vice versa, whatever it is. But it sort of turned into like this off the cuff shoot, at least kind of sort of pseudo shoot that made no damn sense, and it made both of them look terrible. And honestly, at this point, I don't give a shit about the match. I don't want Charlotte to win, mind you, because it kind of destroys Tiffany,
Right.
and kills her, her feasibility as like the champion. Well, it certainly puts a big ass dent in her feasibility as the champion going forward. But really, I don't care about this match. I'm not saying it'll be bad, but I don't care about this match because they're giving me nothing to make. They're giving me nothing to like. I got to see this, and I want Tiffany to win. I want to see Tiffany win. I'm not. I don't. I'm getting nothing, and that was an epic flub. I don't know who to blame. I'm not saying who's at fault, but it just was bad. It felt like it was like nobody knew what they were taught. Nobody knew what they were supposed to say or were going to say. That mention of like Kaiser. Why is Kaiser in my DMs? Then like that's just. It felt so. Yeah. It felt so like out there and unorganized, and like nobody knew what they were doing. It felt like, honestly, it felt like Vince and Bruce produced that segment. Like it was like what I came out of that like, yeah, I came out with like, what the fuck was that? And I felt bad for them both because I get the crowds are booing Charlotte and nobody wants her to win, and hopefully she won't, and then maybe they'll ease off her a little bit because hopefully she doesn't win. But like, it's just, yeah, it felt like Vince and Bruce produced that. Like, what the hell was that? That made no sense. It was almost like they just, they went into business for themselves, and it was awkward as fuck. And it was cheesy. Why is Kaiser in my DMs or whatever it is? Like, that was straight Vince and Bruce from like, 15 years ago type of shit. And I was like, that was awful. Like, what? What? I don't care if it even leads to like, some dumbass storyline where like,
Charlotte's on Raw, Kaiser meets her in the hallway.
Or even like Kaiser's move to SmackDown, and like they play into the fact that Kaiser and Tiffany are a real life couple, and then like Kaiser does like a, you know what I mean? Like he does a Dom thing, and like ends up being like storyline on TV and with Charlotte.
Like he just and it's like essentially.
And it's like, or he ends up actually with Charlotte on TV. Like as a TV couple, which would elevate Kaiser to a degree, but like in essence, it's just dumb.
Random.
But it might help a little.
I mean,
it might help it a little.
I mean, European elegance or European excellence, the Queen. I mean, it kind of fits.
It could if they go that route. But just this on its own was just like, it was garbage. If they go there and like Kaiser and Charlotte are like a quote unquote couple on TV, and it elevates Kaiser, and even in the mid card, I wouldn't hate it, because then if Charlotte loses at WrestleMania and Kaiser turns on his real life woman for Charlotte for TV, then Tiffany, you get an angry ass Tiffany, but then if Charlotte beats her, it's because Kaiser turns on her. You get an angry, pissed off Tiffany who's out for blood, and you get this odd power couple that low key works.
Yeah.
Because at least it would be different, and it elevates Kaiser, who we know can talk, who we know can go in the ring, and at the very least, he's in the U.S. title picture, and in theory, they could be like this sort of dominant power couple on SmackDown, but that aren't necessarily at the top of the card. But it helps both the women division. It helps him in the mid card. It helps the mid card altogether, because Charlotte could interfere in his matches to help him win and maybe eventually be the U.S. champion. And they've got this little couple power trip thing going. That could work. That could work. And you know what? It would help Charlotte.
Probably add some depth to the character.
Yeah. Because she'd be a little more vicious, a little more queen-like, a little bit more like I own this or we own this or whatever it is. A little bit more, I'm above you attitude in her promos, but like along with him talking alongside her, whatever it is, because of the way he talks and presents himself, it could work for them both.
Yeah.
And give Charlotte a little bit more, another layer to her character, even as a heel, that's missing, but also give her like a teammate, would elevate him. That could work. If it's executed, it could work. Even like they could turn, because of how bad this was, mentioning him, if he does get involved in this, they could turn chicken into chicken salad like this, and it could work. Low key, it could work. It was so bad. I just don't care. But you throw this in, I could care.
Yeah, it's like from the beginning, like from that last promo, where I always kind of thought that this feud kind of gave off like legitimate like jealousy. Like, granted, it probably doesn't. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and like act like I'm fucking Dave Meltzer or something and be like, oh yeah, I'm backstage and they have beef and they've been beefing for 3. No, I'm not gonna do that. But like from like from that initial sit down, it kind of seemed like Charlotte went off the cuff a little bit because Tiffany didn't really have a rebuttal. Their brawl, at some point, it seemed like Charlotte like legitimately was like, oh, like I'm trying to get something out of you, but she like elbowed her for real. This promo just kind of furthers it to where it's okay, like, Charlotte had a night of over talking Tiffany. We're just gonna give Tiffany the same leeway, but just make it 10 times more aggressive and talk about her fresh divorce and how she's a Nepo baby, which we've already seen because John Cena called Cody Rhodes a Nepo baby the same damn week.
Yep.
At that point, from a creative standpoint, like if I'm being objective, creativity-wise, the whole company's full of Nepo babies. Let's be real here. Like, Cody Rhodes, a Nepo baby. Charlotte Flair, a Nepo baby. Randy Orton, a Nepo baby. Santos Escobar, a Nepo baby. Angel Garza. I could go on. There's a lot of second, third generation people on this.
All the bloodline people. They're all Nepo babies.
Yeah, Roman Reigns, a Nepo baby. It's like at that point, it's like we can go down the list of a bunch of people who you can say are there because of their family lineage. Mm-hmm. It gets to a point where you can't just keep throwing that at everybody because not everybody even has been that tied to their family. Like Charlotte, you kind of can get away with it. Mm-hmm. Cody, you get away with it. Roman is like it's kind of like just free food because I mean his whole gimmick is about his family. So
what about this? What about this? Let me interject just for a second.
Yeah.
We talked about Kaiser, right?
Right.
Okay, so this is under the assumption that Kaiser ends up there. But this is also under the assumption that who I'm about to mention isn't moved. But if you really wanted to add some like real heat to this hypothetical story and like work in some shoot style promo work, if Kaiser turned on Tiffany, right, and him and Charlotte are like this weird couple, what if Tiffany teamed up with Andrade?
You know, it's crazy. I had that in my mind, but I'm like, that would be too easy for them. that would be a layup for them. But also, it's like it kind of would be like, dang, like Andrade did all that stuff with Legado for nothing. If it's just like, all right, we're gonna bring Andrade back for a scorned husband wife role type of thing.
Yeah, but it could work.
Yeah, but then it would be like also it'd get off like Lita Hardy vibes. The only difference is one couple is actually still together, and it's like, okay, we got one person who also was scorned on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, it isn't just like, oh, Matt is going against Lita and Edge. Just like, oh, Andrade and Tiffany are going against.
But they're not. Well, I mean, not necessarily on TV, but you could slowly present it as such, and then you could get some like actual shoot type promos out of it. And then, you know, if Jacob moves on from the U.S. title towards like the main event type scene, or you know, the Bloodline feud rekindles or whatever it is, low key, if you got Tiffany and Charlotte in this scenario in like a more heated, reality based shoot like feud for the women's title, and Andrade and Kaiser in a more shoot like, even though they don't really hate each other, but in a more shoot like feud amongst themselves over the U.S. title, that kind of hits a little bit. I wouldn't hate seeing it.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, like, because I love Andrade, do you think promo-wise that would be enough fire for him to actually give something?
It would certainly be. It would definitely be like a hurdle. It would definitely be like a test. Like he would have to really bring it, because he's not a great promo. He's okay, but he's not a great promo. He would have to like bring it to make that work. But I'm not saying he couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but if he could talk, he could talk it and shoot a little bit about his breakup or whatever it is, and like play it into the storyline a little bit. Like that feud in the ring, fucking fire. Especially if it's over like a title, it would be fucking fire. That would bang. Like, take my money, and it would be interesting and different. And regardless of the fact that SmackDown's going back to 2 hours in 2 months, SmackDown definitely needs some new and interesting. That would be it. That would be new and interesting, and a blend of reality and story. That, you know what, everybody wins in this, and it makes everybody more interesting. Even Charlotte, make her more interesting. I would not. I could get into. I could get into that.
Yeah.
I could get into that. Just saying, as a hypothetical, I could get into that.
Yeah, but like, let me just think of this one more thing before like, just to kind of wrap it up a little bit. Wrap up this part. Only last thing I'm gonna say is like, more or less, from a standpoint of the story itself, I will say, kind of like how you said, it kind of is one of those things where I was worried about them seeming desperate or kind of rushing things. And this is not to like say that they haven't done a good job on certain stories and everything like that. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna be like, oh, they've been shitty for months. No, it's one of those things where when you're having to make a 2-night card, it's a lot harder to plan than it is if it's like one night we got our main stories, and then everything else that happens after that will probably pay off at like separate pay-per-views that are like brand exclusive or at SmackDowns that are free for TV. It
Yeah.
seems like the fact that if it was off the cuff, which at least most people are saying it is, but you know how they kind of like to blend reality with the company now on some
At least tried. At
yeah, like
least
they
tried
try. It's
at
like
times. Mm-hmm.
until like after the night is after the show is over, they're like, oh, you know, we baited you guys into thinking they were shooting. They planned this. They sat down and laughed about it. It's like, okay, but if it's like if it seems like rushed, or they're like, oh, like the crowd isn't fucking with the story, quick, Charlotte, you're 0-3 in divorces. And it's like, not even like it mad personal, but like one of those divorces was like a mandatory one because he was abusive. So
Yeah, it was.
it's not good. It's just not a good, like, you could bring up her and Andrade, like, it's fresh, granted, but you could bring that up. By all means, do it. One of the other ones, it's like it's a sensitive topic. Whether she wants to admit it or not, that was kind of sensitive.
Yeah, it's low. It was low hanging fruit and just terribly executed. And it was just like you're trying to add something to a feud that not many care about, and it didn't work. It flamed.
And
it
it's one-sided.
crashed.
It's kind of like how the Cody Rhodes Cena thing is. Not one-sided as far as like to kind of like to go in that case. Like Cena and Rhodes have a lot more ammunition for each other than Charlotte has on Tiffany. Tiffany is fairly new to the company. She's 25. She's been on the main roster for like what, a year now, roughly.
Yeah,
yeah, like a year and a half. There's no dirt on this woman at all. Outside of like maybe you could be like, oh, like, you know, you wanted to be a gymnast and you failed, but it's like that's not the same as you said what?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's not the same as it's like, just
you're 0-3 in divorces, or you're only here because of your dad. Oh, you're a nepo baby. No matter how hard you try, the crowd will never fuck with you. There's so many things that you could just do to like hurt Charlotte. That Charlotte, what can she throw? Like, oh, you want to be me? Does she really? Like,
to hurt her as a character, at least.
Like Charlotte saying like, oh, you do flips and you're blonde. You want to be Flair? It's like that doesn't make any sense.
No, it's definitely been one-sided for Charlotte, and this was a terrible attempt to like fire Tiffany up and have Tiffany throw like zingers at her to like one up her for once to get into the advantage, and it flamed out miserably.
Yeah. Because like, even when Charlotte said like, oh, do you think like you're the first person in my 10 years of like competing with people to say that I'm here because of my father? And then the crowd just booed because it's like as aggressive as it sounds, the crowd don't give a fuck. Like realistically, like they like Tiffy, they have their right to, but realistically, they don't give a fuck about Charlotte at this current moment in time. So by default, Tiffany would probably win the promo battle regardless. She could have went out there and said, "Yo, like Charlotte, you know, I don't think you're fit to carry this division anymore. You know, with all your injuries and stuff. Like, how's your leg doing?" She could have said anything, and they would have ate it up.
Yeah, even the lame, like just like bubbly Tiffy time stuff. They're still going to cheer her and boo Charlotte because it's Charlotte, but like there's just nothing to this.
Yeah, even Tiffy was like, oh, like, you know, I'm so now and you're so 5 years ago, like how she was doing with Bailey and stuff like that. It'll hit if it's against somebody that they genuinely do not care about.
Yep.
But taking it the serious route, and which I guess by all means they kind of succeeded because we're talking about it, but it's just like it's such a one-sided ammunition type of situation.
Plus, it hasn't built towards this serious part, and Tiffany hasn't been presented as that serious to pull it off, to just randomly pull this.
Yeah, like Tiffany hasn't dumped on anyone this bad.
Not like ever. Personally, not like really like personally, or like cutting or low blow, or you know.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't done it, so it feels out of place and like against type and forced, and it's like it didn't work.
Yeah, it's almost like the fans were desperate for her to do something. Because I was in a space, or not a space, but like a stream on TikTok or whatever, and people were saying some of the stuff that she eventually ended up saying last Friday, talking about something like, "Oh, talk about how you're only here because of your father," or stuff like that. And it's like, well, it's all fine and dandy. It's been done before. It wouldn't hit, and how, it just doesn't add up. And maybe I'm just
No,
fishing, and maybe I'm being like, superficial about it, because I mean, we saw it with Cena, and it was kind of hard, but it wasn't like a thing where it's like, oh, if your dad if your dad could see you now, he'd probably spit in your face because you're not the champion he wanted you to be. It's not to that extent, you know what I mean?
no. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad. Like, do you is it'd be hard to find somebody who watched this objectively, thought it was good, and came out of this saying, "Oh well, you know what? Tiffany's ahead. Tiffany cooked her. Or Tiffany's ahead of her on points. Boxing analogy. She's ahead of her on points or whatever it is. She's got the advantage going into Mania. No, no, and no. Just no. It was bad, and I don't see how they can. I mean, they could salvage it
how could they salvage it? I don't really know.
I don't think they can. With 2 weeks left, I don't think they can salvage it. They can at least salvage it to the point where, like, at least the fans are convinced that, like, in the ring it'll be a good match, and they don't like each other. They could probably maybe salvage that much.
Yeah,
and there's some, but
unless for the next 2 weeks they just beat the shit out of each other, like, on some real shit. Like,
basically,
no matter where you see them at, they're just punching the shit out of each other. That's the
on site,
you could probably,
like Pre said, on site. They just randomly attack each other when they see each other, and, like, they do it multiple times for the next 2 weeks. Or if one of them is in the ring, the other one comes out of the crowd, or if one of them happens to have a match or something, the other one comes out and just, like, attacks. They attack backstage. They just basically, they beat the shit out of each other the next 2 weeks. Then maybe you got a little bit of intrigue. Not that we know the match will be fine, but at least you put a little something. As us old folks used to say. I know I'm white, but it'll put a little stank on it. I know I'm an old head, but we'll put a little stank on it. Like, all right, they beat the shit out of each other for the next 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, then at least watching the match, we like, okay, there's something there.
Yeah.
To watch, other than the match will probably be pretty good, but now there's like, okay, no talking, just
kind of like at that point they just gotta, like, square up. Kind of like on some Jade Naomi stuff. Like, Jade literally just comes out every week and just tries to beat the shit out of Naomi. Like, there's no talking. Like, not talking.
Wherever, like, one of them shows up to the arena, gets out of the car, and gets attacked, and they just literally don't talk. They just whatever noises need to be made, they just basically beat the shit out of each other for the next 2 weeks and don't say nothing. Not a word. They just beat the shit out of each other. Any chance they get for the next, there's 2 SmackDowns left. They just beat the shit out of each other, and it's like, okay, then you got a little something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now it's a blood feud. We not talking no more. So, like you said, on site.
No more words. No more words. I'm coming for your ass. Pause.
Hey,
I said it immediately. I said pause immediately.
Yeah. It was only like a second of downtime, for sure.
But yeah, it was that. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. If you make it to this point in the video, let us know, or, like, whatever's on, like, whatever platform you decide to listen to. Let us know how you feel about that. I feel like that's one of the bigger things of note, because it's a toss up. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Let us know that in the comment section. Did you like it?
It was bad.
Yeah. You see where we are with it, for sure.
You can salvage something out of it because the match will be good, but to up the interest a little bit. But otherwise, trash.
Yeah,
it was just bad. It was just bad.
Slight uptick, but a massive backtrack.
Oof. Yep.
Speaking of the women, or at least like a continuation of it, there will be a women's tag gauntlet next week with teams from Raw and SmackDown to see who faces Liv and Raquel for the titles at WrestleMania. Is this where we finally get what we've been thinking about?
Wyatt?
Yeah. I feel like this might be their opportunity.
Did they announce who was all in it?
They haven't announced yet who's in it. They just said Raw and SmackDown teams will be in it.
This would be the perfect opportunity to get the Wyatt Six on SmackDown, not necessarily on WrestleMania, but as a group, but on SmackDown. And yes, let's get Alexa and Nikki. Where Alexa's yeah. And
the bad thing is like not many teams in it anyway. Like, what's it like? Cause I guess like the Pure Fusion Collective, Carter.
What's left of it? What's left of it?
Yeah, because it's just Shayna and Zoe. I think at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Metaphor if they fill in Froggy. Even though they said Raw and SmackDown, I'm pretty sure like they're gonna realize they don't really have that many teams.
I mean that could work if the possibility of them being with Naomi is a thing.
Oh, like foreshadowing, like they see them after the match or something like that. It could be a thing. Yeah.
I would hope Alexa and Nikki. I mean, I don't know, the Secret Service.
Yeah, but I feel like they probably included it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Then off the top of my head, I'm not really sure like what teams are left because
I don't know. Like are like, would, because they sort of interacted a little bit, would you put like Mia and BFAB on a team
probably,
for this?
Yeah. Knowing them, they probably will. Unless they're involving themselves in the Jade Naomi beef, which I feel like they probably are. I could see them being like worked in. But I feel like it's basically gonna be like a lot of like I feel like it's gonna be some NXT teams in it. Like I feel like even like if they really wanted to like be like, oh, shake it up, put Tatum and Paxley in it, Fatal Influence or something.
Unless you get like a random like double return and Asuka and Kairi, Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost setting the table for that. Like you would almost have to have like because I think Kairi Sane and a few others are set to be back from injury.
If the Judgment Day is going to like retool and they're going to lose the tag belts, the only things that make sense, unless, like I said, if Metaphor is with Naomi, which is what we are hoping, because it does make sense, that could work into that where Naomi helps them win, even though maybe like Naomi's already had her match with Jade and she helps Metaphor win because they're with her, or vice versa, because Metaphor wins and then without Naomi, but then helps Naomi beat Jade. Theoretically, I'm probably not, but whatever. Maybe after the match, they come out and the three of them beat down Jade because they're a group, whatever it is. That could work, but realistically, the two best options are Kabuki Warriors or
Wyatt Six.
The Wyatt Six, i.e., Alexa and Nikki, and them on both shows could work because then maybe you have it where if
they have
maybe
for both, I would think
you
like,
could
I think Nia's on Raw now. Her and Alexa have history. I think her and Nikki have history, if I can recall.
I don't know if Nia is on Raw now. Is she?
I think they said she got moved.
Maybe, but
she had that random feud with Rhea Ripley, and
I wonder if Alexa and Nikki, are it, and then they win, and they're on both shows. Obviously, you're going to get the Wyatt Six. Could that mean like the group?
I think it's just them. I think.
Well, yeah, but I mean, because I have an instance here or there where like somebody in the group like spook somebody or scare somebody or something like that, as the group does to like aid them or just to beef up their profile as Wyatt Six members because they're on both shows. Perhaps.
They probably could. So I couldn't see it like how the Judgment Day was, where it's like, okay, they were like Raw and SmackDown like champions, and they kind of were able to bring all of them. Obviously, like via like not via satellite, but like they could do like spooky shit without all of them being there anyway. So, like, say the lights go off, or like Bo Dallas is laughing during one of the like the women matches or whatever. They get distracted, they get rolled up or something. They could do that without having them actually there.
Yeah, they could. That's what I hope for. But I would certainly be okay with the Kabuki Warriors. But if it's Alexa and Nikki, and bring it, because it makes the
for both.
It gives, because at least if the Wyatt Six are going to be SmackDown, and whatever it is you're going to do with them, that's the way to get them started is Alexa and Nikki.
Yeah, get them their first taste of gold, and then the not the prophecy, but like the formation of like their purpose and their goals, whether it just be all internal or external, it'll start to make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, that's what I hope for.
Yeah. So after that, Motor City Machine Guns and DIY number one contenders match. I think the Street Profits were in the crowd. I thought they were gonna be at the table, but they sat in the crowd, which is kind of crazy. But good match. Sabin and Shelly, they know each other really, really well. Like they said, 20 years of friendship. So I would assume in 20 years with all those AIW shows and whatnot, they're gonna give you a good tag match. We waited a while for it too, so
yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, but is it going to be
the contenders again? I think so.
Is it really just going to be one-on-one? Like, is everybody else going to get left out, or are we going to get
it depends on when it is, because I don't know if they said it was for Mania or if it's just like they get a shot period.
I thought they said Mania, honestly.
Yeah, I'll probably have to. Let me see. Because I know for most of them they were like emphasizing like, oh yeah, this is at Mania and this is for Mania, but I don't know if like for the titles, like the tag titles, they was like, oh yeah, this is a Mania opportunity.
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. At least in the title, it doesn't say anything about WrestleMania. It just says they win the right to challenge.
Well, I would think it would be WrestleMania unless they're not going to be on the card and they do it the night before.
Like what I'm thinking is probably like it's like 2 weeks left, right? Essentially,
right?
Or maybe 8. Yeah, like roughly.
If there's 2 SmackDowns left.
Yeah, like if they fight next week and say the whole division just fucks it up, and then we kind of just get it confirmed, it's like, okay, now we're getting tag team turmoil. Because I feel like the Raw titles, we might just be getting the War Raiders and New Day, which isn't going to be bad, but
no.
If they have like clear cut if they have a clear cut 1-on-1 for Raw that people are going to want to watch, then you can have tag team turmoil for SmackDown, and it'll make sense.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I don't.
It's kind of it's like a slippery slope, because obviously, like it's gonna be selfish to me because I want to see all the teams on the card, because I feel like they've all been shown so much in the last month that it's like, okay, like I kind of need to see it.
Yeah, I don't really know.
The main teams, I would say.
I just don't know. If it depends on if it's going to be on the card. If that match is not going to be on the card, then it would be. I would assume it would be the night before.
Oh, before the Hall of Fame, that SmackDown.
That'll because they won't be on the card. They'll get their match then the night before.
Yeah.
I hope they're on the card. I hope they're on the card, but if there's a turmoil or whatever it is, it would kind of need to be on the card. But if it's literally just going to be 1-on-1, I would not be shocked if they did it the night before Mania, because they're not on the card.
Yeah. I would not be surprised about that at all.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Which I mean, at least hope. I feel like with all the involvement they've been doing, it would lead us to that, just for their benefit. Because I mean, even if it's like, say, if it's just the Street Profits, the Guns, DIY, and Pretty Deadly, at least you got 4 teams on the card. Like, because Legato kind of has like 3 different things they could probably be doing right now, whether it be Andrade or Ray Phoenix. Like, they got a
Right.
lot of stuff they could probably do where you could leave them out and it won't be as bad. Even though they did kind of challenge for them, but they put them in so much, it's like you got endless options because of what you've been doing with them.
Sad for both because they're both really good, and the division's starting to heat up a little bit. That it's likely not going to be on the card.
Yeah, which fingers crossed. Hopefully, that
Hopefully,
manages to work itself out. Speaking of Pretty Deadly, just to kind of sum this up a little bit, kind of speed run it a little bit more. Miz and Hayes were backstage talking to Pretty Deadly, basically kind of like a little comedy segment. I liked it. Oz him was kind of ass, but I know what they're going for. And if this gets Mello on TV again in a winning way, I'll take it.
I guess.
Cause it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't know if someone ever said that Mello is like a new age Miz. I don't really see it, but
No,
yeah, not at all.
I don't.
Yeah, like if anything, like not even on some racial stuff, because some people like to do that. But he kind of he's like a more youthful like MVP, you know?
Yeah, I would say that's a more apt comparison.
Yeah, similar
Yeah,
upbringing. Like MVP had the highest
he's a
paying
he's a
contract.
young
He was #1.
yeah he's a younger, more athletic MVP.
Yeah,
I would say that's a better description than the like. I don't really see it. Like, what's the Miz comparison?
yeah. Probably just like the smugness, I guess. Probably not as much in ring work as far as like just character work.
Well, a lot of people are like that. That's not really, but
Not much not much too in depth about that. I mean, I
it's
guess we could
probably
probably get
it's
a match
probably
later too. But
it's probably just a recency bias thing because they've been sort of paired up on TV.
yeah, and they're kind of seeing like like similarities between like them just like talking shit.
Well, I mean, obviously, if they're paired up on TV, they're going to probably try to like be a little similar in how they do things. So,
Yeah,
I guess for the uninformed, like, oh, he's actually like a younger. No, he's not.
yeah,
No offense to the Miz, but no, he's not. Carmelo's way
yeah.
better than that.
Shoot, their younger Miz might be in might be in NXT. I think. If I'm thinking of the name that I'm trying to think of, like, he's probably in NXT.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, BFAB, Naomi, not a really like. I mean, BFAB got some offense in because of the attack that Jay did before it. Naomi still ended up winning. Naomi called her out, got her face kicked off, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like she called her out, and the next thing you know, it's like Jay's just sizing her up behind her. I've been waiting for this. Boom! And then they get the match confirmed for WrestleMania. If you watched the last episode, you know my stance point. I stopped caring. G, if you have anything you want to add to it,
Like I said, the major entry is basically like who's with Naomi because she didn't do it by herself. But I think again, having Jade get pinned before now, I think really kills an opportunity to really get something big over because you could have had this mean more had Jade not lost, and then have say like metaphor. I'm not holding out that it can't be Bianca, but I don't think so. She has been healing it a little bit, so it's still possible. But even like something like metaphor, where they help Naomi win, beat Jade. Jade doesn't, isn't hurt by that necessarily. And it gives her a reason to go after 3 people and kick their ass, and it makes Naomi a monster heel. They missed that opportunity. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't say I have no interest in it whatsoever, because I know Naomi's not by herself. So I do want to see. I like heel Naomi. I like what she's doing as a heel, and I want to see who's with her. But the match itself, it's kind of like screwed both ways. Who wins? Unless they do some fuck finish. There's really, like, if Jade loses again, you take a lot of shine off Jade. If Naomi loses, then it's like you built her up just to beat her, and then where is she? She's a heel, but then where is she? Even if, like, Metaphor interferes after the match and she gets her heat back and they beat Jade down after that, is Naomi that much stronger at that moment than if she had been the one to beat Jade on the main roster in a pin? No.
But I mean, that's what I was saying. As far as like, that's what I was saying. Like, I honestly thought, like, after, like, even in the same case with other stories, there's only so many weeks you have to really, like, okay, like, this is happening. They're with these people. The longer I waited until, like, they played out everything, the more it started to seem like, okay, if Naomi's by herself, she's just fodder to kind of, like, give Jade some sympathy, like, not some sympathy, but, like, a face rub to where it's like, okay, maybe she's facing an obstacle, but she's really not. If it was, in hindsight, they really wanted to, like, build 2 credible people, and then, like, have Bianca kind of, like, have at least more optimism to move to Raw and win the championship, because I feel like right now it's a chance, but more or less it's leaning more towards Ripley either winning it back or, like, Io kind of just, like, locking in and beating both of them.
Squeaks it out. Yeah.
Not even on some squeak stuff, because I feel like, because she's respectfully, she's beaten both of them. So at that point, it's like, at WrestleMania, if she wins, she has to, she got to do it the clean way, or at least, like, decisive. But at least, like, with Jade, it's like, I feel like whether she won or lost to Liv, I didn't feel like Naomi was beating her anyway. I mean, granted, obviously, if you're gonna have Jade beating her ass every week, it would have made more sense to have Naomi win, because Jade's been, chasing her down, kicking her shit.
But like I said, if Jade hadn't taken that loss and she's and she's getting the best of Naomi, although Naomi got her once, going into that match, you're like, okay, well, Naomi's not going to win. But if Naomi's help shows up and helps Naomi win, then it's like, oh shit, Naomi won. Oh shit, say Metaphor is with her. Oh shit, Jade lost to Naomi. That was her first loss on a big stage. It makes Naomi, it doesn't hurt Jade. It gives Jade a feud with multiple people, keeps her out of the title picture, makes Naomi a top end heel because of that group. And in theory, you could have added more spice to it by having, like I said, have Metaphor in the tag tournament and have Metaphor do heelish things to win, and then win the tag belts before the Jade Naomi match, and then have them come out and help Naomi win. You've got a monster group right there.
That's like the only part where I'm like, because it's like,
I don't know, that would work for me.
No, I mean, like, I get it, but like, at that point, it's like, that's why I was saying, like, when it came down to, like, Naomi being heel, like, if the group had been formed prior, I'd have more optimism for her being, like, more than this. But from the promo and the mannerisms that she's possessed, like, there's some people that like it. I'm not gonna, like, downplay Naomi's work, because I mean, she is a solid heel, but I don't think she's a heel where it's like, oh, like people took her seriously with Team Bad, because off the rip it was like, okay, Sasha, Tamina, Naomi. It wasn't no, like, long term random. It was like they came together with a common goal, and they won some gold. I think at least once, I believe. I'm not sure. One of them won a title, I think. But
I think you're. Yeah.
At least maybe Sasha. I don't know. One of them won. But it's like
But
if they did it earlier, I could see it. But since they waited so long, it's like they could do it. But I mean, like you said, would it really hit? Probably not.
I just think if you're building Naomi to be a heel for a long time, and trying to put her at like the top of the division, you gotta build her. You gotta give her heel promos, heel matches, heel wins, make her look good, and something like that would cement her as theoretically the top or 1A 1B heel on SmackDown. But she would be like locked by beating Jade clean at WrestleMania, even with help.
But like as far as like, because like that's the thing, I don't know if she would generate that much heat from beating Jade though. Like if it was Bianca, by all means, like, you know, the kids love Bianca.
Oh yeah, definitely, of course.
Like there's a lot more like, oh, if you fuck with Bianca, you'll get more pushback. Jade is more or less like she attacked her, her reasoning was valid, but in my observation, it's just like, if you were gonna add her to a group, you're waiting way too long. If you were going to reveal that, oh, she's not alone, you've waited way too long. Her mannerisms is kind of like over theatrical, and it's like how can like when they were like standing at the top of the stage, it's like Naomi keeps getting pummeled outside of one interaction where she had to blindside her for it. How can I take Naomi serious about this is gonna be my WrestleMania? You've been getting your ass beat every week.
Well, I mean, but the problem with that is that if she goes into WrestleMania and everybody thinks Jade's going to kick her ass, and for part of it she does, and then say if it's Metaphor interferes somehow, some way, and Naomi wins, it cements Naomi as a top heel. But if Naomi's going to be part of a group that are heels for Jade or whoever to feud with, specifically Jade in this case, at least at first, then it's clear Naomi's the leader. If it's Bianca that's the other person, and it's Bianca and Naomi as heels, Naomi's not on equal footing to Bianca, period. Regardless of what happens, she's not on equal footing. She's basically like the heel lackey to Bianca.
If it's on Bianca, I feel like she would just be 1B. Like she would, like, it would just be like, oh, like Naomi would go after the U.S. title, Bianca will be women's champion, and it would kind of be like 2 women power trip.
But would they really be equals though?
I mean, they would be equal. They would be equals as far as like, I mean, I guess like giving Naomi the credit of accepting the challenge, or at least like doing the dirty work essentially to get to this point. And then plus like promo wise, since Bianca had, like, if she was to turn heel, and it would have been a while since she's been one, Naomi would probably carry the bulk of the promos for at least maybe the first 2 weeks of Bianca turning, I would assume. Until Bianca's like back in that mode of like, oh, you know, prime EST kind of thing.
Maybe. I just don't. I don't see it that way. I think if it's Bianca is in on this with her, Bianca's going to outshine. Bianca's going to. They're together as heels and not baby faces like they were, but Bianca's going to outshine her. Period. Always. But at least if it wasn't Bianca and it was like, say, Metaphor, and it's a group, then Naomi can lead the group. And
but
in theory,
but even in that case, respectfully, Lash Legend is like respectfully, she's way better than Naomi right now.
But you can work that in eventually. But at least temporarily, Naomi leads the group, and it makes she look stronger as the leader, and not she's just with Bianca because they did it together. Because Bianca will outshine her. Period. End of story. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. At least with something like Metaphor, she can shine more because she's the leader for a while. And obviously, you could break the group up, but she's the leader, not at best a 1B ish, or like she was, where she's like riding the coattails, but as a heel, not a face.
I mean, but then again, it's like I'm saying, like if they give them both titles in a Bianca situation, at that point, I mean, like she would be carrying her weight. But like even if like from a Team Bad thing, she was in the middle for Team Bad, but we all knew who the star of we all knew who the star of the team was. We all knew who was eventually going to be the big person from the group. I feel like it would kind of, depending on how early they would have done it, if it was like, oh, you do it earlier to where it's like, okay, like now Metaphor is being established as, or like the Meta Girls basically. I think it's like Meta Girls when they're like separate. If it's like, if you establish that from the jump to where it's like, okay, like this is the reason we're here, period, and not like we're gonna have them appear on SmackDowns and Raws and NXTs and TNA shows where you can clearly see that Lash has it. It's like at that point, it's like at least maybe it's probably what it is. Like I'm looking at it from like seeing them and doing other stuff. I feel like you would have had to have done that way earlier to me, rather than like okay, like because even Lash, like she has a trending clip on Instagram of her chopping Zarya. At that point, it's like, would you like her being backup for Naomi? It's like you kind of backtrack a little bit. It's like they got to pull the trigger on them things a little bit earlier to where now if you do it, it's not like Naomi as a group, but Lash, or Naomi as a group, but Jakara. You kind of gotta map it out a little bit better.
I mean, I can see it both ways. I can see it both ways.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At least in a way, like I feel like Bianca's a safety blanket, because then you can just give them both belts and you can just call it a day. But the pulling the trigger on her having a group thing, yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it still is a good idea. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they should have done it earlier, because now when I see them, I'm gonna think, okay, yeah, at some point at some point they're gonna jump her, and it's like, granted, that's probably gonna happen anyway, but it's like I'm just gonna be thinking it every single time, like, yeah, Lash is putting it through a table one of these weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, they got a Mania match, so I mean, obviously, once again, not shitting on them. This is just banter. Like, just so people don't get like the wrong idea. uh, had the Priest promo, essentially just challenging him at Mania, or at least next week they're gonna meet in the ring to kind of see where that goes. Kind of glad they just confirmed it now with the back-to-back type of segments where, okay, like they both have their reasonings. They want this to end. See him at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see what's after that. Oh, Kevin Owens. That promo. Came out, basically said he had a serious neck injury. Didn't know what was going on with it, but he's gonna need surgery, and he won't be at WrestleMania against Orton or to compete ever, which seemed like it was gonna be like a bait and switch type of thing until they kind of passed each other in glance and like nothing happened.
I think Orton said something to him.
Oh, like on the apron?
I think Orton said something to him. Yeah, something like, come back or get back here or something. He said something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a hell of a swerve if it is one, but it's not. I don't think it is. I really don't.
Yeah, at least right now it looks like it's very much set, because it kind of leaked a while ago that like he's been dealing with an injury, but I guess he kind of just said like, oh, they didn't know what it was either, and then it's like, oh, my neck's fucked up. So, all this kind of just informed them like, yeah, sadly, Orton, you won off match at Mania. Randy RKO's Nick, and then he leaves. Not really sure what to make of it.
I don't know. it could be Aldis wants to wrestle, and they throw it together to give Randy a match. I mean, in theory, I have had predictions that Randy's going to do more than that, and if that's the case, fine, I guess. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what you do because the only other thing that could theoretically make sense, just to like throw something together, unless he's out for a while too.
What, Sammy?
Sammy. Yeah. Not necessarily. I'm not saying heel Sammy, although I wouldn't hate it. But you could Sammy just for the competitors competition's sake. Just say I'll do it. I don't have a match either. I've been gone for a little bit, but I don't have a match either. How about you and me, just for the hell of it? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Orton could still have another role at WrestleMania anyway, either way, and I think he will, so they'll do what they'll do. I don't really know. I mean, I wouldn't mind, honestly, if he doesn't have a match at Mania and he just comes out at certain points during some matches or after some matches both nights and just like comes out through the crowd and RKOs somebody. Like he's just pissed off, period, and he's just he'll take out.
He just fucks up the show, like just random moments.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yes.
I think it's gonna be normal.
Yes.
It's like boom.
Yeah, he could a match that where he could interfere and not like end the match. He could just randomly like come out of the crowd and come in the ring and just drop somebody. Or when a match is over, he comes out and he just, whether it's one person or both people or a tag team match, whatever it is, he just comes out there multiple times and just he's pissed off because he didn't have a match, and he just starts dropping people.
Man.
And then that could theoretically, like night 2, maybe something a little holy shit happens at the end of night 2, and Randy had a great WrestleMania, and vicious heel Orton is back, and like he just fucked everything up. Like he's just fucking up everybody. Like what the hell is he doing? It just seems like he's pissed off he doesn't have a match, so he's gonna try to fuck up other people just because. And that could lead to night 2 where he really fucks it up. I mean, maybe. I wouldn't be bad either. That sounds like fun, and it certainly would add a little more oomph to the 2 nights where he comes out 4 or 5 times over the 2 nights and just fucks up people. I mean, I'm not saying he necessarily has to punt them, because we don't know where the punt, what the specific damage of the punt would be to somebody if he does do that. Like, would they be out for an extended amount of time? Would it be just like, oh, well, they've got a concussion, so they could be out for a couple of weeks, where he could just start punting people, and then like those people are just off TV for a couple of weeks? Depends how they're going to portray the damage of it, but sure, that would make the 2 nights more fun, where like he just randomly comes out and just starts dropping people, and it's like, Randy, stop. We get you're upset. Somebody tries to talk to him and like, we get you're upset you didn't have a match, but you can't do this. And he just keeps doing it.
Just keeps fucking it up.
Yeah. He just keeps RKOing people and dropping people or punting them, depending on how severe they want to portray the move as now. I don't know. And he does that. And then his coup de grace, no Balor, is the night 2 main event. His coup de grace, no Balor, is the night 2 main event. Yeah, yep. Is the main event, the literal main event. He puts
the cherry on the sundae, essentially.
Yeah, he could, even if he's not the third guy or like the guy. For example, he could literally come out in that match and drop them both and leave.
Yeah.
And that could jumpstart his feud with Cody. because he can drop Cena first, and everybody goes nuts cheering. You know what I mean? And then like go to Cody, like pat him on the back or hug him or pat him on the head or whatever it is, and then just literally turn around and drop him too, and then walk away.
He hypes up Cody. I'm on him. Yeah, go get him. Go retain.
And then
him around. Boom.
Doesn't even have to spin him around. Like he could just like hug him and like talk in his ears, like go get him and like pass him on the chest or whatever it is. As Cody's like sort of getting up to hype up, and Randy could literally just turn around, and then he has that signal where he's about to do it to somebody. Like he gives a little pat, and he just turns around and then just RKO, drops Cody too, and then just looks around and everybody's just going ape shit, and then he just walks away. He doesn't do anything else. He just leaves. Like fuck them both. Like he doesn't care about Cena, which would lead to an eventual Cena Orton match before Cena's done. There you go. There's your setup for that. Your Cody Orton feud starts with Orton as a heel because he's been fucking everything up. So, and then that following Friday, Cody could appear before he takes a little time off, and he asks Randy why he did it, and Randy just goes full heel on him. RKO's him, punts him. Cody takes some time off, and then Randy continues to fuck shit up until Cody comes back, and there's your feud. Randy's your heel. Randy's a heel. He feuds with Cody. Cody's out of the title picture temporarily, and whoever it might be until
he gets back.
Right, to whoever it might be, he could feud with Orton until SummerSlam. In the meantime, Cena will feud with maybe Punk.
Yeah.
Whether it's heel Cena, whether it's the heel Cena and babyface Punk, which would be fire. But in my one scenario, it could be Punk's actually the guy and the champion, and Cena's still acting a little heelish, but the redemption story starts, and Punk beats him, and then Cena kind of has to like work his way back up to being the hero, and they end the year that way. Whatever it is, there you go. Depending on who might move with the draft and whatnot, you could get an entirely new, fresh slate of main event caliber guys. Yep. Sure. I mean, I guess if Cody,
you find a lot. You find like a little bit more in depth of this breakdown on our last upload. Just a quick plug.
Yeah. I mean, or if he doesn't, what about this? Orton fucks everything up, right? He does all that at WrestleMania. He cements the heel turn. That following Friday, he, drops Cody, punts him. It writes Cody off for like a month, so Cody gets a break. And then, because Owens is gone, who's friends with Owens, or at least was, and who's friends with Cody that could feud with Randy for a month and have a backlash match or whatever it might be? Sammy. You have like a one-off match with Sammy and Orton, and Sammy gets punted. And then you have the draft and whatever it is, and then Cody comes back. They start their feud. They feud through SummerSlam or whatever it might be, and there you go. At that point, SmackDown goes back to 2 hours. It gets a little more condensed. You've got Orton and Cody. You've got Cena and whoever. Could be Punk. Could be Roman. We don't know. Maybe if they move it, it could be Cena and Punk. You got Roman and Rollins feuding or whatever. I mean, and then SmackDown all of a sudden looks really good.
Yeah. Definitely have a lot more, not more variety, but like just more direction. I feel moving forward.
It's more top heavy because you've got main event caliber feuds that this needs to be done more often because they have done it in the past under Vince, but they don't do it. They haven't done it enough in this new regime where you literally have main eventers feuding to feud, not necessarily for the title or to get to the title. They're feuding just to feud and they can have bangers, and there's no title. They need to do more of that.
Just more of a showcase of sorts.
Yeah, because it doesn't really hurt either one of them. Orton and Cody feuding for 3 months, not about the title.
Wouldn't take away from anything.
No. Or even if, like I said, Roman and Seth feud. I don't know how the draft is going to go. I'm just saying, but hypothetically, if they feud after WrestleMania, it's not about the title, but it's still a good feud. And it's still a good feud, and it doesn't hurt either one of them. Okay, sure. What's wrong with that? I think that's great.
Yeah,
because that's three different things on TV that don't involve the title that are good. And everybody's
three stories with a purpose.
Yep. And then they could theoretically all end up blending together and in a different form. McIntyre's still out there. Priest is still out there. We don't know who's going to switch in the draft, going after doing whatever. You could have separate feuds there. Who knows? Or some people get moved. I mean, Seth and Roman could end up feuding on Raw because Roman is moved.
Yeah, especially because of what Netflix wants. So,
right.
Who knows what'll happen?
So I mean, you could get a move over. You could get, Gunther on SmackDown. Possibly.
That a hit.
I mean, theoretically, you could have temporarily. What about a Gunther Drew feud into the summer?
Too?
Sure.
I feel like
either way,
could be like straight mayhem.
Either way, if you tell me after the draft that your top 3 like segments, feuds are theoretically Cena and Punk, Cody and Randy, and Gunther and Jacob, take my fucking money.
But you're cooking, no matter what day of the week it is.
Yeah, you're cooking with the freshest grease.
The hottest.
That's just gonna
the hottest of fresh grease right there.
The hottest, freshest grease. That shit is going to be crunchy good. Yeah, I'm kind of on one.
No water.
All right, go ahead.
Just me.
I mean, straight up, no, don't need no side dish.
Just put it on the plate.
All main course right there. I mean, that would be. Take my money. Take my money. Seriously, take my money.
Man,
the rest of SmackDown could be. The rest of SmackDown could be complete and total ass. But those 3 parts of the show, heat.
The beginning, middle, and end, I'm here for it.
I mean, theoretically, and you don't know, Drew could end up moving back. Who is Drew going to feud with? We don't.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to keep feuding with Priest, but does he get involved with somebody else?
Yeah.
Like, does somebody else move? Or does he get moved? Maybe you move more people. Maybe he goes. I mean, I know he wants a title, and he doesn't love John Cena. He doesn't have a beef with him, but he's still saying that he wants Cody because Cody helped the Bloodline and still has a feud with the Bloodline. He still wants Roman. He hasn't gotten his hand on Roman. He has said multiple times that he wants Solo was going to be last.
Yeah, he said he was sparing them because he hasn't really seen.
But I mean, but even a temporary feud of Drew and Solo, a newly turned Solo, who is sort of like acknowledges Roman again. So now he's sort of back on Roman's side to a degree, not always with him, but like on the same wavelength, like the family thing.
Yeah.
But Solo's more of that quiet enforcer role, more of the badass that he used to be, and not like the pretend tribal chief, but more of the badass that he was as Roman's enforcer. He takes on more of that silent killer personality again, where he's presented better and he's presented stronger. A mini feud of Solo and Drew, because Drew wants Roman and wants to take out the bloodline, so he wants to take out Solo. A mini feud of that's 4 feuds right there that are fucking heat. That's literally like, what if SmackDown goes back to 2 hours in 2 months? If that's still going on, there's a 2-hour SmackDown right there. That alone makes SmackDown must see. That's 4 fucking feuds right there of all main event caliber guys, and only one's for the title, and it all works. Even if the Drew and Solo is temporary, because he could take Solo out to eventually get the Roman, and then, via a trade or the transfer window, he gets himself back to Raw because he's got beef with them. And obviously, he still hates Punk, so if Punk's there, he'll want in on that for sure. And if Punk, for example, ends up being the guy, because it's a what if Punk's actually the guy and it's not Cena, like I said could be the case, then Drew's going to absolutely want some of that. And you get a more tweener, Austin-y, I'm not saying he's Austin, but a more tweener, Austin-ish version of Drew who's more babyface because Punk's the heel. And you could rekindle that. Maybe not immediately, but you could rekindle that at some point where the roles are reversed, where Punk's the heel and he's got all the power behind him, and Drew's actually, more pseudo babyface trying to fight the odds to get his shot and get the title, and he probably won't get because he'll get screwed somehow. And then, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, just give me the damn pen. I mean, come on. Let me write this shit, and like WWE will cook at least till past the next Royal Rumble. I could even go that far. I could probably plan out past the next Royal Rumble. I mean, give me the pen. I'm cooking up some good stuff right here. I mean, theoretically, anybody who's listening, tell me you wouldn't like SmackDown wouldn't be like must see TV if that was what was going on.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Hey, yeah, comment down below. Hey, do you think that?
And on Raw, you've got Seth and Roman, and Jay and Braun.
Yeah.
Where Braun eventually is the world champion, and then Braun against all those people. Take my money.
Yeah.
Penta's the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. And obviously Bronson Reed will be back at some point. So there's another monster on Raw, and then who the hell else gets moved? You might have LA Knight on Raw, and the Intercontinental title picture is a bigger deal. Who knows? You could have the whole Bloodline thing moved. I mean, theoretically, possibly. I mean, Gunther and Jacob wouldn't happen if they're moved, but you could still do it where if they want to have like a War Games or Smash or set up a feud between Jacob and Roman, Jacob could they're renegades anyway. They do what they want. They could just show up. Technically, he doesn't have to switch brands. They could just show up because they're the quote unquote bloodline and they can. Yeah, where they're the bloodline and they just do whatever the hell they want. And it makes way more sense with Jacob in charge because Jacob's a psycho in a sense. Like he's a black sheep.
Split is.
He's too out there to control, and he's leading a group now, so he's in charge. They just do whatever the hell they want, and he doesn't care. So he can just show up on Raw to start a feud with somebody and kick their ass with his group. I would assume, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and whichever one of the two is called up to be in that group. I guess it doesn't matter which, but that's his group. Give it to me. I'll take it. You set up a Roman Jacob match. Obviously not next WrestleMania, but maybe SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series if Roman's not involved in War Games. You can have that match there, and the bloodline really explodes to a certain point where Rock's been doing this shit the whole time, and in theory, screwed Roman over or behind Roman's back, where Rock is actually the one running the family when Roman thinks he's the one that's been running the family or trying to now get it back together. But Rock's been pulling the strings the whole time. He sets up your feud with Rock and Roman, and you get Rock and Roman at next year's WrestleMania. Title or not. There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of Jacob, well, I guess we kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah, that he. No surprise.
The match and everything. Yeah, it was a surprisingly better match than I thought.
Although, could they go the cheap route and triple threat it? Because Strowman kind of, sort of was up at. He was kind of up at 10. So could they make it like a triple? Could they make it Could they make it a triple threat where like Jacob doesn't win the belt but doesn't lose, or to protect LA Knight to keep him in that realm, or to move him up, or if he's going to be moved or whatever it is, he doesn't need to pin either.
Yeah, you can have Fatu pin Strowman because he's already done it. Well, has he pinned
Strowman? No.
Actually,
I don't think he has.
Yeah.
No.
So at that point, it's basically you could just have Fatu get the big win because the last time they had a one-on-one match, it was ended in DQ. Well, both of them actually, I think, ended in DQ.
Well, at least it adds a little bit. It adds a little bit of unpredictability to the match because that way, because Jacob would annihilate LA Knight right now, and it's like it would be obvious. But if Strowman's in there, then Strowman could eat the pin regardless of who wins the belt. But he could eat the pin, and both LA Knight and Jacob going forward look strong. Even if Jacob wins the belt, LA Knight doesn't really look weak because he wasn't beaten.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be a setup for that because Strowman was kind of up at 10.
Yeah, which I think Strowman would probably next week they'll probably go into it and be like, oh, Strowman's gonna go in there raising hell, talking about some I was up, this is bullshit, they're gonna play into it, and then maybe Nick Aldis is kind of like, you know what, you're right, I watched it back. You can earn your match too, or you can earn in on this match too.
You should be in the match.
Yeah.
You didn't lose, so it's a triple threat. Even though, we don't want 8 multi-person matches on the card. I'd rather not, but at least storyline wise, it would make sense and help protect both LA Knight and Jacob, regardless who wins the match. Because if LA Knight's going to retain, Jacob could do all the damage, and LA Knight toss him out of the ring or something like that, and steals the pin to further the feud. Or Jacob just wins, but LA Knight doesn't have to be pinned to lose. So LA Knight stays strong.
But at this point, Knight's already lost to Shinsuke, so it's it's not like he would lose. And plus, if he's getting beaten by Jacob or Braun, I feel like storyline wise, you could see if someone's pinning him, I could see it being Jacob or Braun.
Well, but if like I said, if the plan is for the feud to continue or for Jacob to do other things, Braun can take the pin for Jacob to win to keep LA Knight strong anyway. But if LA Knight's going to retain, Braun can take the beating from both him and Jacob, and then Jacob hits, 3 or 4 moonsaults on him after 3 or 4 hip attacks, right? LA Knight is not in the picture at that moment. LA Knight, Jacob goes to pin him. LA Knight just kind of grabs him, tosses him out of the ring, hops on Strowman. Pause. gets the 3 count and retains the belt and pisses Jacob off, and then Jacob annihilates them both, and that could continue for a little bit, or Jacob goes in another direction because he gets Solo temporarily because he kicks Solo out and Solo wants a piece. And he forms his group and goes after Solo temporarily, and then they circle back around to it.
Yeah.
And maybe Knight at that point, somebody else is in the mix for the U.S. title. Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
You could bide a little time for Ray Phoenix to be in the mix for that, because, I mean, like I said, Jacob having a title, of course it makes sense, but who's going to take it from him? Yes, it would make the title more. It would make the title.
You would get some good matches out of it, though.
Yes, you would, and it would make the title a bigger deal, like the Intercontinental title was, because realistically, who the hell is going to beat him for it? Straight up.
Yep. It'd be like the thing with Braun. It's it would kind of make it a pseudo world championship because of the person who's holding it.
Yeah, and just like what Gunther did, because Gunther held the Intercontinental title for what? A year and a half?
Yeah.
But Jacob's got to be on to bigger and better things in a year and a half, so he doesn't need to have that belt for a year and a half.
Oh yeah, if anything, Jacob will probably run through people for 3 months, and then it won't really as long as how he loses. If he loses somebody mad credible, if it's on some kind of like Dragunov and Gunther when they were in UK, where it's it took Ilya multiple matches to beat Gunther in a one-on-one scenario. If they have somebody like that, that's as time goes on, they're learning, they're evolving, and then boom, they beat him. You still keep the credit. You still keep the champion credible because it's taken this guy 5 opportunities to get this dub.
I mean, there are ways to do it. You could have him for 2 or 3 months, maybe, and he takes Solo out and has his group, and he takes Solo out where Solo disappears again for a little bit, and then you have a match or something like a multi-person match, possibly, whatever it is, where Ray Phoenix can win the U.S. title, and Solo interferes and spikes Jacob 3 times or some shit like that. Now, I'm not saying Jacob eats the pin, but you could do that to at least take him out of the match to where he'll lose the belt and still be a monster. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I just wouldn't want him to I get it. He would make the belt a big deal because he's Jacob, and who the hell is going to beat him? But you don't want to. You don't want to give him.
You don't want to have too many monster-esque type of things where it's because they kind of did it with Brock, where it was almost him getting pinned seemed pointless because it's you built him to be this unstoppable man beast. At some point, I feel there's ways around making guys look credible without them never eating pins for months on.
That's fair, but for right now, it makes sense in the fact that he could win the U.S. title, and it would boost the title up tremendously because who the hell is going to beat him? But you also really can't give him a super long reign with it, because he should be in a year. But it was still, in a year, he should be competing for world titles, not U.S. titles.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it's the way they did it with how they did with Gunther, where it's okay, if you have it to where every once in a while, a dude he's fought 3 or 4 times finally gets it done. Now, granted, it would get tiring. It probably would, but in some cases, depending on who the character is, if it's Jacob, I feel that would work. If he's if him and Ray actually get involved in hypothetically one of those type of feuds where okay, maybe the first time Ray gets obliterated, the second time it's a little bit closer, the third time Ray almost wins, the fourth time,
maybe, but here's another what if. Jacob wins the title. Phoenix is the next guy up. But in the meantime, uh, right before that, or after he wins the title, he takes Solo out, right? Solo, even kind of begrudgingly goes back to Roman and apologizes, talks with him, whatever it is, acknowledges him again, right? And obviously, consequences. Now, he's not necessarily with Roman all the time, but it's like they're back together as family again. So he takes Solo out, but because Solo is now realigned with Roman, Jacob, somewhere Jacob interferes in a Roman match and costs Roman the match. Now, whether Roman's pinned or not is a completely different story, but he interferes that and attacks Roman and kicks his ass. So as get back, Ray gets a match with Jacob, tries the best he can, gets his offense, but just loses. And then maybe the second time he gets a little closer and it's like false finish, like, could he actually beat Jacob, but doesn't? And then the third time, Roman interferes to set up Roman Jacob, and Roman hits after Jacob's already taken as much punishment as he can take from Ray. So he's, a little bit worn. Roman interferes, hits Jacob with a Superman punch and like multiple spears. Then Ray pins him. Jacob isn't hurt by being beaten. And then you have your Jacob Roman feud. Or the setup to a Jacob Roman match. And Ray Phoenix is your US champion. That would work.
I mean,
it's an idea. Like, it's an idea, and sets up. Like, it sets up.
Yeah. But at that point, it's like I get, cause I get like the whole like. That's why it's like the way they book, like the way they're booking Jacob. It is like good. I won't say it's like bad or anything, but I feel like in the long term, they can't have it, like, at least hypothetically, they can't have it to where it will take a whole village, 3 goats and a cow to put a man down. Like, after a certain period of time, it'll be like, damn, like, can this man like take a clean finish type of thing? No, like, at least in the beginning, it probably won't, because I mean, obviously, like, some people will be like,
but he's still,
and we ain't seen this in a minute, which I mean would be true.
But he's still pinned and protected, and then it's like, okay, well, if he feuds with Roman, which would probably also piss off Drew, because you could have Drew go after all of them. It sets up a feud with Roman, and it puts Jacob on Roman's level, because it's like Roman had to do all that on top of what Ray Phoenix did just for Jacob to be pinned. So, like, it ain't going to be like, Roman and Jacob are going to have a match. It isn't automatically like, oh, Roman's going to win. Because it's not going to take just a spear and a Superman punch to put him down.
But also, even before that, it's like, more or less, I feel like people, like, presumably would have thought, like, off rip, like, oh, just from what Jacob has done, like, throughout his career, it's like, okay, like, yeah, that's a different beast. Like, Roman don't want that. Where it's like, from how they even build it up when he got in there, as far as like, oh, we ostracized him from the family, we don't talk about this guy. It's like, at that point, that already would mean like, oh, Roman has a mountain to climb. But if it's like, oh, 1 punch and 8 spears, not 8, but like 1 punch and 4 spears, and it's like, okay, well, now it's like, this is like kind of like 2016 Strowman level of not eatery. That was about to sound crazy. But
as far as like but as far as the mystique of Roman, I mean, how much did it take to actually beat Roman for real? But at least they'd be on an even playing field where it's like Jacob could even win the first match because Roman does all that to Jacob and Jacob still wins. So Roman's got to like really be that guy again to take him out. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with it because it took all that help. It took
50-50. But I don't know.
I mean, to really beat Roman, it took all that help and how many crossroads in total before he stayed down. So, I mean, Jacob's the same way. It would put them on the same level where that, you know, in theory, in that Ray Phoenix winning, like Ray's done his stuff to wear him down. But on top of that, it took a Superman punch and 2 spears to like at least keep him down for 3 seconds. So when they actually go at it, Jacob at full strength, a Superman punch and 2 spears ain't going to keep him down. And the same thing could be for Roman, where Jacob's offense doesn't put Roman down quite as easily, but maybe Jacob wins the first one, and it takes a superhuman effort from Roman to beat him because Jacob's just that dude at the moment, and vice versa. They could just have a match like, you know, like Cody and Roman did without the interference, or like Rock and Austin used to do, where like they could go for 30 minutes and have like a ton of false finishes and kick out of finishers, and it's believable because they're them until one of them eventually succumbs, pause, and loses. I'd be okay. Wouldn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically the seeds are right there. There have been multiple times where they've been in the ring together, or Roman's like, come get some, or whatever it is, and they didn't really straight up fight. But if they're on different brands, that could be a way to get them into a feud.
I had to get to that. Kind of like, yeah.
Well, no, because Solo can kickstart it by being kicked out, and if he goes back to Roman, Jacob and his group have a beef with Solo, which means now they have a beef with Roman again, among other people like Drew. So, you know, Roman man group on his ass, and then Roman will want to come and do the same to him, and that could cost him the U.S. title. There's the match set up. Pretty easy.
It wasn't bad. I started cutting.
No, I just said, but like I said, the easiest way to, if they're on separate brands, to as a catalyst for them to face each other before WrestleMania, because I think they really want Rock and Roman. Obviously, it just won't be this year. Is Solo. Solo can jumpstart that feud by being kicked out of the group and going back to Roman. Now Jacob's got a reason to have beef with Roman again and target him, and he could he or they could interfere in a Roman match and cost Roman a match one way or another. Then I'm not saying that Roman has to be pinned, but cost him a match. And then as a get back, Roman costs Jacob the U.S. title. And there's your feud. And there's your setup for a match between the two of them. Or War Games, for all we know. Like you have the Bloodline, you have War Games Part 2, except it's Jacob's group. It's Jacob, Zilla or Hikuleo, the Tongans, against Roman and whoever the hell teams with him. We don't know. Doesn't have to be the same people. Or it's Jacob and the Tongans and Zilla and Hikuleo. Or what's his name? I'm blanking. What's his name that they got?
Hikuleo?
No, not Hikuleo or Zilla, but the other guy.
What, Journey?
Huh?
No, I'm saying like there's not many like I mean there's like Journey fought too. There's like other big ones that I don't really.
No, but there's someone else that got it.
About.
There's someone else that got it Samoan though, but he doesn't have one
Lance?
of the. Yeah, I don't know. It's not Lance. There's somebody else. There's somebody else that they got. Where like Lance or whatever could theoretically join up with Roman and Solo, and then but not maybe Jimmy and another, or leave Jay out of it, or unless they're going to come back together and you get the OG bloodline. Roman, Solo, the Usos, and like Lance or somebody like that. But there was somebody else. I'm trying to think who else they got somebody else who's Samoan, but it's not. I don't know if he's particularly actually like related. I don't know that for sure, but I know he's Samoan, or at least part Samoan, that could be involved in this. And it'd be completely different. It could be Bloodline War Games again, but different teams.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who it is. They got somebody else who's Samoan or part Samoan. I don't know that he's related, but they could certainly storyline wise make it so. Who could join, and they could have War Games again. I wouldn't hate seeing that.
Now that I don't know about them running it back. Because then
what Bloodline against Bloodline?
Yeah, if it's like Civil War Part 2, then it's kind of like it's almost
yeah, but
like
there's new people.
It's almost like them fighting over the Olafala would be kind of like pointless at that point because now it's like
but there would be new people involved in this. There could be something else on the line. That could be, or there could be something else on the line. There's a lot of new people involved, and then Jacob's group wins, not Roman's. I wouldn't hate it. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I wouldn't hate it. Lord knows what they could have planned for War Games this year, because it seems everybody's interconnected in some ways. So War Games could be absolutely wild, especially if there's like big turns or swerves coming, which I think one of them is happening in 2 weeks. So I mean, the War Games match could be absolutely nutty with who's in it. Nutty. I mean, you could have like theoretically, you could have like a Rock, Punk, Randy, Seth, somebody else, like 5-man team against like Cody, Roman, Cena. I mean, who knows? Like that would just be bonkers. That much star power, that would be absolutely fucking bonkers. I'll make the 5th man on the heel team Gunther. Bonkers. You could have like I said, you could have like a Roman, Cody, Cena, I don't know who, Braun. I mean, Jacob could be on the heel team. Oh, who knows? But like the babyface could be like Roman, Cody, Cena, Braun. Anybody else on the come up, or somebody I'm not thinking about. Drew could be on the other side. Who knows? I mean, that could be wild.
Yeah. I forgot it. But speaking of Roman, we'll just kind of like round this out a little bit.
Yeah. Got off on a tangent there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good. Obviously, I'm not gonna run down the segment. I'm pretty sure anybody that watches this in some form, you've seen the segment, you've heard, or at least you got the gist of what it is. As far as what the favor inevitably ended up being, which was that Punk would inevitably, because if people were wondering like they're not here anymore, I guess he's talking about Vince. I'm presumably thinking that's who he was talking about. Maybe him and Laurinaitis at that point because they wanted to fire Punk years ago.
Yeah.
Essentially, Punk's like, okay, like, well, since they're not here anymore, I'm going to force you to deal with us being Punk and Heyman. And the favor was that Heyman would be in his corner at Mania. I'm not going to lie. I feel like a favor with a match containing Rollins, Reigns, and Punk, although storyline-wise it probably wouldn't have made sense. I understand that a little bit as far as Heyman pulling the strings to get a title shot for the winner of the match, i.e., the guy he basically like kind of like ripped the rose with. But for him to swap is crazy.
But you could also have had it where if that was the favor that the winner of that match gets a title shot, be it whether it was the next night or not. I guess if Punk's real dream is to title match main event, it could have been for the next night. Heyman could have played it off where he went to The Rock to get the winner of the match into the main event, right? But he could have played it off like he did it for Roman, when in reality he did it for Punk. But Roman thinks he did it for him, so Roman has more incentive to win the match because he's like he can get his title back the next night against Cody. He doesn't give a shit about Cena. He's beaten Cena before, so he can make it seem like he was doing it for Roman, but in reality he did it for Punk.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously that would be like the more or less like consensus thing. I'm saying as far as like just like in the sense of, at least from like if we're looking at what Rock has been doing for the past couple of months, it would kind of be like, oh, like where would the ties be in that case? I mean, obviously like that's what I wanted to happen as far as
Roman.
I mean, yeah, I get that, but yeah, but it's like at that point, like even then, it's like technically if we're thinking about like Rock saying, oh, he had been glazing Cody since Roman lost. At that point, if I'm Roman, I'm not fucking with a Rock because you wanted Cody to be your champion. You said Cody made you proud. At that point, I don't think Roman really should be fond of The Rock. Which I mean, which at that point, it's like I feel like kind of. I mean,
but in story, there's
Roman Rock will happen. It would kind of make sense that way.
But in story on TV, Roman hasn't said anything negative or made it seem like he's got a beef, and it could just be like, Roman was.
I mean, he hasn't yet, but also like one thing they kind of noted about Roman, or at least like with most of them guys, is that they're not as dumb as they used to be. Where it's like, okay, like I don't think Roman was on his jets or at home seeing this, talking about some, The Rock is still for the family. He wants Cody to be his right hand man. Like, I don't think Roman would be like, oh, I feel like if Roman ever sees Rock, it's gonna be some beef. So it would kind of just be like
perhaps.
Yeah, like, it would be like, how would Heyman pull the strings to infiltrate a Rock match without some other underlying like favor from Heyman to The Rock? I feel like then you would just kind of have like a domino effect of like, oh, I'm doing this for Punk for you to do this for me. But for the favor to be managerial alignment, could there be more? Yes, but for that to be the first domino is kind of like anticlimactic for what everybody kind of expected it to be.
I mean, yes, I will give at least the credit where credit was due, where Heyman sold it flawlessly. Like crying, like he's my best friend, and I don't break my promises. I give my word, which in theory, Heyman saying that to Roman, it should make sense to Roman because Roman's supposedly all about like keeping my word and doing what I say, yada yada yada. But the look on Roman's face where he's like, no, I can't do that, and then A to GTS, which is probably setting that up. But could it be, Heyman does come out with Punk and he's in Punk's corner, but when push comes to shove, if there's nothing else added to it, we don't know yet. But to say on face value, there's nothing else added to the match, Heyman comes out with Punk. He is in Punk's corner. Roman's a little disheartened and angry and maybe off his game a little bit, but at the end, Heyman turns on Punk and stays with Roman. There's a feud.
But at that point, though, would we really have to have Heyman play domino for them to have an interaction like that? Because I feel like we all kind of know, like, historically, during that whole, like, when Punk was trying to separate the Shield years ago, the only one to beat him was Roman. Granted, it was with help from Seth, but he was the only one to pin him. Then with the whole, like, War Game stuff, where, obviously they share the same manager. The only difference is he's Punk's advocate and he's Roman's wise man. That in itself has internal turmoil, because it's like, well, who are you to say that this is your advocate? No, this is my wise man. He's in my family. Like, it's
well, they mentioned best friend, and going back much further than just like
to like Punk's the reason, like Heyman's the reason Punk has a job. But then some people can also say, in storyline wise, Heyman is kind of the one that, like, I guess, pulled the trigger on a somewhat, monumental Roman Reigns run that only a guy of Heyman's managerial status could do.
Right.
It's like if we had to use Heyman as a domino for a story that's kind of like similar to Seth and Punk, that just has so much backstory and so much like but like so much like underlying history in it, going back to even before Rollins was with the company. It's kind of like it would be like very much specifically for like a specific type of fan to be like, oh, it would have to be like one of those type of like, oh, he needed this to get in Roman's head, when he's kind of been in there for the last 10 years. Well, since Punk's been gone, basically.
Well, I mean, to a degree, yes, but it's a different Punk and a different Roman.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's like old Punk and I guess more self-enthralled Roman. I mean, I feel like Roman was always like confident in character. He just couldn't really express it through mic work, or at least they weren't allowing him to express it through mic work. But now that he has, it's like it's unlocked that element. But
I don't. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like and then with Seth, kind of like I told you. Is Seth like on some Drew McIntyre crap now? It's like I told you.
I mean, I was right. At that point, Seth's just a troll.
Yeah,
I feel like that's really like his point in it, as far as like he just wants to get rid of Punk for good, and Roman's kind of like the icing on the cake.
I agree in the sense that there's got to be more to this. There needs to be more to this. I mean, at least executing what it was, even if it's a bit of a letdown. Admittedly, yes, but the execution of what it was and how Heyman sold it, like he's torn. Yes, his tribal chief that he's loyal to and that he loves, but CM Punk is also like his best friend, and he loves him too, and he's a man of his word, and he's got to do it. He can't say no. So, I mean, at least that part of the execution, Heyman did flawlessly. So there's that, but there needs to be more to this, because the match is going to be good, but if that's like the twist of the match,
it's definitely the only takeaway. It's like, well, now it's like all them years ago, where I mean, it all could have been fluff too. Like maybe Punk's only thing was he wanted to main event and he didn't really care about the belt as much as we thought he did. But if we're going off the instinct that he wanted to not only main event, but he also wanted to compete for something of note, it's kind of like,
he wanted.
Like, are you dissatisfied with this now? Like, what changed?
Yeah, that it was main event as the champion or for the belt. So he can't be that satisfied with main eventing it, but not for the belt. He can't be completely satisfied with it. So I like I said, totally agree. There needs to be more to this than that. Because if that match goes off, it's the main event, and whether Heyman turns or and completely sides with one or the other or whatever it is, if that's all it is, I mean, I know the match would be great, but if that's the payoff to it, is that if that's all it's going to be, there's got to be more to it than that.
And it's like even then, it's like when people was like, because I've seen some people say like, oh, like maybe like, oh, the big caveat, Paul sides with Seth instead. Would that be enough for me? Fuck no. Like what?
No,
that's
because it makes it makes no sense, honestly.
It's like essentially the Joker in this situation is getting an advocate when he doesn't need one.
No,
he's never needed one. Like what?
Would be
what growth would that be?
It would definitely be a wild moment for like 30 seconds. Be like, what the fuck? But after that, it would make absolutely no sense for him to be Seth's advocate or wherever you want to call him. It would probably be a different name. You'd be given a different name than Wise Man or whatever, or advocate or whatever it is.
Probably be like, oh, the planner to the architect. They probably would think of something. I don't know what it would be, but like.
But I mean,
if to the architect, whatever, some.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just like. No, it would be a what the hell, just what the fuck for briefly. Yeah, sure, it would be a what the fuck moment, but
like you get your reactions, you get some, you get your old shits or whatever. But overall, like that next Raw, if they're standing next to each other, what's making me think? Oh,
yeah. Like what is this?
The world title pictures don't involve Seth, unless it's like Seth feuds with Roman. And it's like a whole new world type thing where it's like, oh, the first time they fought, nobody was involved. This time, Rollins has his advocate. He doesn't really need him, but he has him anyway.
He took him. But he took him.
Yeah, it's like at that point, it's like, would that be something to think about? Maybe. But
if Seth wins the match, it's like, well, Punk didn't deserve this, and you've been making mistakes and allowing things that you shouldn't have allowed. So you don't deserve your advocate. You don't deserve the Wise Man either. I'm the architect. I should be the guy. And if Heyman's supposed to be with the guy, then he should be with me. I mean, it doesn't really work, but I mean, I don't know.
And plus, I feel like the last time we seen Punk and Heyman have like a feud, it was like that Curtis Axel shit. And I'm not sure if you remember verbatim, but that was not good at all.
No.
Because he tried to do the whole like I hate you slapping, and like there's just so many things that was wrong with it to where it's like I'd rather just see them play platonic neutral than try to see Punk and Bro beefing again. Like I genuinely don't.
The only way this makes sense is if there's a swerve and it's not just Paul in his corner. It's the winner gets a title shot, even if it's not the next night. Although with one of my theories, it would be the next night, and it's Punk, and he's with The Rock, and then Heyman turning on Roman to be with Punk because Punk's with The Rock, and The Rock is the final boss and the High Chief, which is technically above the Tribal Chief. Then you got something cooking. Then it all fits and makes sense. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. But at least if there's like the winner gets a title match, even if they don't specify when, then it's like, okay. And then Heyman's like just another piece. The Heyman, who's Heyman going to be with, or what Heyman being with Punk during the match? Could he help Punk win, or will he help Roman win and stay with Roman? That's just like another piece, another layer to the puzzle, which would make it more interesting. On its own, it's kind of there has to be more, and we got 2 weeks for there to possibly be more. I mean, obviously, Punk can't come out again and say, oh, well, you know what? I was bullshitting. That actually isn't the favor. It's a favor, but I'm owed more than one. And whatever.
Even at that point, it's like, I feel like they kind of fear, like, they run into, like, kind of like how I thought with the Rhea and, like, Io thing. It's like, okay, we're going to keep overdressing it, and then boom, we still get the trip with that anyway. It's like,
yeah, they're overbooking.
It's like everything.
Yeah,
it's like everything doesn't have to be like mad cinematic, and I kind of wish they kind of thought about that more. Where it's like, I get, the Bloodline, it had its moments, its peaks, and stuff like that, but for the most part, I mean, you kind of more or less knew where they were going with most of the stuff. It was just more or less like you wanted the shock factor because, oh, Jimmy finally kicked Roman after months of saying, I'm the tribal chief, and, gassing himself up. Or
right.
Sammy kind of, getting his run in Montreal, where it was like you kind of knew eventually you would get Sammy Roman in some capacity, whether it be like like an unintentional or intentional purpose. It's like everything doesn't have to be not planned, but everything doesn't have to be like cinematic with like 13 different plot twists to like make the show hit. And sometimes they get it right, and then sometimes they don't. And I fear they're kind of taking that route with a lot of this stuff, where the average person will be invested, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So, where are we even at? Oh,
So talking about I agree. It's on face value for what it is. It's going to be a great match, but like this, if this is the twisty part of it, no, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. There has to be something else, but like what it is and how they execute it. Like I said, I don't have a problem with like, even to screw Roman if Roman wins, or as an insurance policy, like, well, if Roman's in the match, Roman will make sure that Cody's not the champion at the end of the night. There's some logic to it where if that's what the added bonus to it is the winner gets in the night two main event, it would work. Or just the winner of the match getting a title shot and no specification as to when they get the title shot. They just get a title shot. It still would make some sense.
Yeah.
Because like Rock can see it as like, well, if Punk is actually his guy, or one of his guys, I mean, I guess in theory or not, he could be hedging his bet by doing that. Or if there's any concern that Cena's not going to win, and that Roman might win the match and then be in there night two, then he's hedging his bet that whoever wins, that the champion, it won't be Cody, but will be quote unquote like his guy. Whether it's family or his guy, Rock wins either way. So I mean, at least to a degree that makes sense. Even like I said, even if it's a title shot and no specification as to when, that also works. Because then if, for example, if Punk's actually his guy, which I have theorized, Punk's actually his guy, and this is all just a ruse, so that's a massive surprise when he turns out he is the guy. Punk can win the match, whether Heyman's with him or not, in the end. Punk wins the match, and then uses his title shot the next night, and he's the guy. He's Rock's guy, and he gets himself in the match. I'm not even saying at the beginning of the match, but at some point he comes out and he's like, I'm taking my title shot now, a la Money in the Bank cash in, because he's the Rock's guy, and it's been allowed. Like and then he's the guy and he wins. Cena screwed. Cody loses. Cena does his redemption arc. Cody can feud with Randy, and then try to rebuild himself. Cena's trying to redeem himself back to being the hero again, although he can heal it up for a little bit. And then Punk is Rock's guy, and you could have that sort of feel of like Punk doesn't give a shit, because he doesn't, but he does play the fans a little bit. This is all a ruse, and he doesn't give a shit. And he got his WrestleMania main event twice. Twice. He got 2 main events in one weekend. He got his title shot, and he won the title at WrestleMania, which is all dreams completed. Check, check, check. And he doesn't care about whether or not he sold out because he's not here to make friends. He's here to make money, and The Rock is going to make him money. And he got what he wanted. It fits. And then heel Punk could just cut the same, similar type of promos, but just not pander. And it fits. If that's where they go. That could work too. And it would be a shock. Especially if it's like a title shot and no timeline given, and then he just comes out, halfway through the main event night 2 or closer to the end of night 2, he just comes out and says, I'm taking my title shot now. Because a title shot could be whenever. It wasn't specified. It could just be a title shot, and he said, I'm taking it now.
Yeah.
Or you could even do something earlier in night 2 where he's there and he talks to Nick Aldis and says, somebody wants to talk to you, and hands him the phone, and then that's it for that. And you're like, what was that about? Although the smart people might probably know, but a lot of people are like, what's that? And then during the main event match, closer to the end, Punk comes out and says that he got the match and he's The Rock's guy. He wins and he's with The Rock, and the phone call was The Rock. And it's The Rock telling him, put him in the match. Do what you're told, put him in the match. He wants it tonight, put him in it. He's allowed in it, and then that's it. He's the guy. I would love that. No offense to what Cena's doing as a heel, but I would love that. And then Cena's redemption story would be insane. And Summer Punk as the Rock's guy, saying all the shit that he said before. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. He got his main event twice, got his title shot, got the title. He got everything he wanted, and he doesn't. Punk in theory, the character would not give a shit about selling his soul, and probably wouldn't. But also, you could look at the flip side of it, where he would sell his soul to get that, but 30 seconds later would be like, yeah, I ain't doing this shit anymore. I'm over it. I got what I wanted. Screw you. And then that could be a whole nother wrinkle to it.
That's the thing, because he said old Punk, like if it was him years ago, he probably would have done it. But it's like now, it's like how confident would it be if like he's older, and granted he is about like money and everything like that, but like to look at it and be like, oh, now looking back on it, damn, I'm really about this money now. It's like it kind of just seemed like really, really. Now they could still do it. I mean, obviously that ain't changing nothing they do, but I don't know. To me, it just kind of seemed like he's been shitting on Dwayne whether he was in the company or not, and then all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that he's just like, yeah, I'm just a money guy.
It could have been but it could have been a ruse, and the way to actually get exactly what he wanted was a main event title shot, and get the title. Dwayne basically handed it to him on a silver platter, and he took it. And it doesn't have to be for very long, because he could just turn right around and say, well, I told you all that I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money, and I made a business decision to get exactly what I wanted. And, he could temporarily play it off like, well, I can do whatever I want now, but it'll get old quick, and he'll be like, you know what, screw Dwayne. I don't need him. He gave me what I wanted. Fuck him. After a tiny little bit, he'd be like, screw him. And it would be Punk. That would be Punk. Like, I'll play along to you give me what I want, and then I'm going to turn around and say, fuck you. That's Punk. Basically. Even during the Vince days, it was like, well, I want this or I want this, and you're going to give me whatever it is. And then, you know, he got it, and then he basically turned around and middle fingered after the fact and said, well, I got what I want. Thanks, but fuck you. That's Punk.
I mean, but like also at the same time, it's like Punk's never been a Vince guy. He's always he'll basically shit on Vince and manipulate the person into giving him what he wants, but he won't like be like, oh, I'm Vince's guy. Vince is such a great
Well,
leader. Like he would just
it could
basically shit
be,
on him to his face and bait him into doing it, so that
it could be that it could be that with Rocky too.
I mean, but at that point though, it's like at that point I would rather just be like, oh, Rock comes out and Punk's like, you know what, Dwayne, you haven't changed at all, and like just run him down rather than like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to be the golden goose, but in all actuality, I'm just doing it so that I can, achieve my dreams or whatever. Because then it's
Well, he
like,
could come out, he could do that and win the title like he's the Rock's guy and just once grin his teeth and like stand next to the Rock and have his handheld or whatever it is, and come right out on Monday or Friday or whatever it is and say, you know what, Rock, you've been manipulating people and bullshitting people for 2 decades to get what you want, whatever it is, and I turn the tables on you. I'm not your guy. I never was your guy, but I played you to get what I wanted. You gave me what I wanted, and basically, like, you could bleep it out. Fuck you. I screwed you. Like you've done to so many other people. I screwed you. How's it feel? I told you I told you I would get to you. I got you. It pisses The Rock off. If Cena stays heel, that feud is built in, and The Rock can do anything he can to like get that to get back at Punk. He's pissed off and does whatever he can to get that title off of Punk and to get him to screw him because Punk got him, which people don't usually do, but Punk did. Because if there's anybody that could probably do it, it's Punk. It could work.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, because I feel like at that point it would kind of go into like the too many bumps in a road type of thing, where it's like, okay,
It could.
cause it's like, yeah, because like in the past they've done things where it's like, okay, in the moment we're gonna do this and be like, oh yeah, we're locking it in, like woo, like we're on the train, and then 2 months later you're like, well, what was the point of turning them in the first place? Unless in the moment, like if it was like like not like the Wyatts where like Daniel Bryan joined for like a few weeks when inevitably he was trying to like destroy them from the inside, even Randy Orton for that matter, where it's like, okay, there was a meaning to the madness. In most situations, they just like that are like, if Punk's already like a rebel who has proven he's already better than Cena just for the fact that like he's old as well and can win matches without, getting his hand held. I feel like at that point it would kind of be a dichotomy of sorts, or like a kind of fork in the road type of thing.
Oh, it could be. It could be monumentally and royally fucked up. No question about it. But there is a way to do it where it's like, you know, Punk could certainly play it where like I'm the guy. I'll do what you want. You give me what I want. I'm here. Like I said, he said plenty of times, I'm here, not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. Well, he could do that and then turn right around and come out and say, well, you know what, Dwayne, you've been doing this to people for years. You even got John Cena to turn his back on the fans. But you know what? I got you. I used you. I played you. I used you to get what I want. I ain't your guy. I ain't nobody's guy. I'm their guy. I'm CM Punk. Whatever, blah, 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 blah. Instant flip. And it would make sense for Punk, the person, to do that. He screws Rock and manipulated to get what he wanted and got it. And he had to sort of play the game to get it, but then turns right around and says, yeah, I played your game for a night or for a couple months or whatever it is, you know, to get what I wanted. And now that I got what I wanted, I don't need you. Fuck off. It would play into Punk. It really would. It would play into Punk, and then obviously The Rock would be pissed off, and Roman is probably mad at him. Seth hates him. Drew might hate him. I don't know. Then everybody would be after him, but in a different way. Cena could stay heel for a little bit longer and take a shot at Punk, and then Rock gets some. Rock has to find somebody else to try to go after Punk to get the belt off of him. A new guy, maybe like you said, somebody fresh that can get over on him, or or I don't know. Who knows? There's a lot of ways it could play out where it would work. And Punk, like I said, Punk doing that, playing along to get exactly what he wants, and then when he gets it, turns right around and says, "Yeah, I was just screwing with you. I'm basically manipulating you. You've been doing it to people for 30 years or whatever, 25 years or whatever the hell it is. Insert time frame. You've been doing this to people, whatever it is, and now that you're on the board, you manipulate to get everything you want. I turned the tables on you. I told you I'd get you. I did. I manipulated you into giving me what I want. I got it. Now you can fuck off because I'm the champion and you can't take it from me." It could work. It fits his character. To a degree, it does. It fits his character. Because at least that night, everybody's going to, for the next, until he says that, on Monday or that next Friday, the whole world's going to be buzzing like, oh my God, CM Punk is actually the guy. CM Punk with The Rock, what the fuck? And then Punk turns right around and goes, no, 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 no. I completely, no, no, no. That's not what happened. I used him to get what I wanted, like he does to everybody else. Screw him. I got what I wanted now. I'm not his guy. I'm your guy, or whatever it is. And it would make sense.
Yeah, could be a.
And it would piss The Rock off. There could be a way to get somebody fresh involved to take it from him. Cena could take a crack at him at Backlash and lose. And then, everybody could be after Punk because Drew hates him, so he would want a piece, and Drew wants a title. Seth wants a piece, so there could be a draft move. Seth hates his guts. Roman wants a piece. And I'm sure if Punk did all this, Roman really will want Punk, and he would be pissed at The Rock for choosing not only Cena, but then it not actually being Cena, but choosing Punk, and then Punk ended up screwing him. So, why wasn't it me? So Roman has a reason to be mad at Rock too, and all these stories play into each other and continue to, just with added wrinkles. Hell, when it push comes to shove, you know who the Rock's guy could end up being when all is said and done? Jacob.
Mm,
I mean, you love Mello. What if Rock sees Mello as like a younger Rock?
but like there's some where it's like okay, like there's some that would like it's like certain characters where feasibly character wise it's like they would just be like very very hard to control, or at least in storyline wise it's like you don't want like situations where you get like corporate Kane s type shit where it's like this man used to
No.
set dudes on fire, now he's standing here in a suit. It's like you don't want it to where it's like you strip a character of its essence, and now it's like okay, well, this is good shit. We're supposed to love this. It's like
Yeah, but if it's a temporary play where Punk's been manipulating him the entire time just to get what he wants. He plays along, wins it, gets everybody, the whole world talking for a few days, and then comes right out and says, "Yeah, I got you. I'm not your guy. I played you to get what I want. I got the title. I got I got not only the WrestleMania main event, I got two, and I got my title. Thanks, Dwayne, but fuck off. I ain't. It would fit. It would fit Punk and tie add wrinkles to a bunch of other stories. Rock being pissed and doing whatever he can do to try to screw Punk and take the title from him. Roman's now pissed. Roman's already pissed at Punk, but he'll be double pissed at Punk. So Punk will have Roman. He'll have Cena temporarily until Cena turns back. Seth hates him. Drew hates him. But in the midst of all that, you've got stories intermingling where Drew still wants Roman. Jacob might want Roman. Roman might be beefing with The Rock. Everybody's tied together in some way, and just an added wrinkle now. So Punk's really involved with everybody, and everybody just basically hates in some way or shape or form. Everybody just hates each other in a different way now, or more than they did before. Except now, The Rock and the board and the company, in it to a degree, the corporate whatever hates Punk because Punk screwed them, like he's done before. It kind of fits in a new way.
Yeah, who knows? Really, like, who knows what they really could
We don't.
come out of it with. So
We don't. We got 2 more weeks, and for all we know, it's just going to be that what happened, and that's just going to be it. And then it's like, but I hope there's more. And I'm all about like wild and crazy stuff to make to boost WrestleMania to be like a moment where it's like, oh my god, and more people talk about it. Well, that would be it.
yeah.
Because realistically, if the main event
for what they want though.
What the fans?
No, I'm saying as far as like for WWE, like if they want people to talk about it, it's like you want people to talk about it in favorable tone. It's like if people are talking about it, shitting on it.
If that happened that night, at least until if whether Punk, is the guy for a time, it would definitely be a big deal and talked about and like what the hell. But if Punk pulled the manipulation card right after to piss off The Rock and all that kind of stuff, it would further it along, and certainly for that weekend and leading to the point where Punk says, "Yeah, I got you, Rock. Fuck you. I got what I wanted." It all would be noteworthy. You can't tell me that if the night 2 main event ended with Punk inserted in the match and seemingly coming out of that as the undisputed WWE champion, and seemingly on the surface as he's actually The Rock's guy after all this, that's got everybody talking. Straight up, that's got everybody talking. That's a what the fuck. Holy shit. Ending WrestleMania on a wild note moment, and you don't need 45 people to interfere in the match. I'm sure a few will, but ending it that way would be like, what? People would be nuts. Temporary or not, people would be nuts. I think the better way to do it would be temporary, where Punk actually played Rock to get what he wanted, and then immediately just goes, "Nah, fuck you. I was just I ain't your guy. I just said I'd be your guy to get what I want." That's Punk. I'll play along to get what I want, and then I'm gonna say fuck you when I get it. That's Punk.
I mean, but who has he done that with in the past? Like actually, like legitimately.
Well, I mean, in different ways. Obviously, when Vince was in charge, Punk played along to certain degrees to get what he wanted, and then got what he wanted, and then faked like he was leaving the company only just to come back to have a title unification match with Cena after he left with the belt and then beat Cena to stay the champion and piss Vince off, except in this case, he would be manipulating The Rock, who is not Vince, and then immediately screwing him and saying, yeah, I got you. I played along, fuck you, except it's The Rock, not Vince, and, you know, the board of directors or whatever it is, and then it's Rock doing everything he can with whoever he can to try to, you know, to nail Punk, pause, and to get the title off of him. Because that's not what he wanted. He got played. A pissed off Rock, pissed off final boss would be fun to see when he appears, especially if he's going after Punk. And then the duel between Punk and everybody would be outstanding. I think a verbal duel or people coming after him for the title would be between, if it's Rock and Punk, would be way better if Punk did that to Rock, as opposed to just, you know, if Rock had a guy like Cena and then Punk beat him for it, it would be, yeah, Rock would be pissed at him and their verbal duels and whoever Rock sent after him for the title, whatever it is, that would be compelling television. But if Punk pretended to be his guy just to get what he wanted, the main event twice, and the title shot, and win it, and then turn around and go, yeah, I got you, fuck you, I got what I wanted, then those altercations and The Rock sending whoever after him will be heightened even more, because it's a pissed off final boss coming for him, not just, you know, the final boss. It would be a angry final boss coming after him, and that shit could be epic. If Rock would appear to do so, that would be epic. Just would. It could lead to it. I mean, I don't know how many more times Rock's going to wrestle before he's truly done, but if one of the two, if he could do three more, if in theory he could do three more, you could have him and Punk. You could have him and Cena, and then him and Roman's is the end. In theory, if he did three more, but realistically, he's not going to. But that would be pretty badass. A redeeming John Cena trying to redeem himself against The Rock would be fucking epic. Rock and Punk would be epic, except this time Rock is full on heel trying to screw Punk, and Punk is like Summer Punk again. That would be epic. And obviously Rock and Roman would be epic when it happens. I don't know. That sounds good to me. That would be lit. He seems to turn, and then he seems to turn and be The Rock's guy, and only like a couple days later, or Friday or whatever it is, just turn around and say, yeah, I manipulate. You've been doing this to people for so long. You even got John Cena. Well, I got you. I played you to get what I wanted. I got what I wanted. I ain't your guy. Fuck you. He could literally copy Cody and say, you know what, Rock, go fuck yourself. I ain't and then boom, shock. Like he played The Rock, and everybody, Punk is probably at that point, Punk is more over than Cody. He pulls that, he's more over than Cody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of. It's possible.
I think that would be friggin' epic. Does it happen? I can't say. I can't say. But would it be like superb? Yeah, a double swerve. He basically manipulates Rock and, okay, I'm your guy. I'll do it. And then he turns around and says, fuck you right after that. Has the whole world buzzing for a few days, and then turns around and has them buzzing again by saying, yeah, I got you. I knew you were so desperate to have that guy that you even manipulated John Cena to turn on everybody, and you knew damn well John Cena couldn't do it. So I came to you. I said I'd be your guy because I knew you'd give me whatever I wanted. I got what I wanted. I got the main event. I got two of them in one weekend. I got my title shot. I got the title. How does it feel, Rock, to be manipulated and played? And then basically, like, you know what? Cody Rhodes said it best. John Rock, Dwayne, or whatever, he can say, Dwayne, go fuck yourself. And everybody's buzzing again because he got him. And usually people don't do that to The Rock, but Punk did it in Punk's style, and it fits Punk's character. And then people are buzzing again, and Punk's probably the most over guy in the company, even more than Cody. I think that's heat, personally, but maybe I'm, wildly wishfully thinking here. But that would be fucking wild. And that would make WrestleMania weekend, no matter what happens, that would make it like, okay, you got us. You got us, because that ending would be nuts, and then the flip immediately after would be even nuttier. And it's like, whoa, shit, okay. Because then the hindsight of everything that happened, well, like, okay, you got us. You at least gave us, like, that end was a 100% WrestleMania moment, and then the flip after, nuts, because it was all a ruse, nutty. You in essence get another WrestleMania type moment right after, nutty. Because and plus you've got the nuttiness of theoretically Randy Orton getting involved and turn on Cody. That would be nutty. Jay winning the world title would be nutty. I mean, you kind of salvage your weekend there and make it look a lot better than it would right now, and then the aftermath would be insane. Just saying. I'm I'm not saying it's going to happen that way, but it would be nutty and it would make it all wild.
Yeah.
But because, like I said, like we're saying, what we came out of last night was like, that ain't it. It ain't shit. It's not shit. It's not complete shit, but that's not it. That can't be it.
Yeah. Not ideal.
No. If that's all it is, that's a letdown. I know the match will be good. I'm not saying that at all. The match will be good. It'll be it's main event worthy. It's those three. It'll be good. Of course, it'll be very, very good. It'll be a banger. But if that's all it is, come on now. You can't really end the night with, in theory, Punk wins the match, and Punk just kind of stands there with no belt or anything like that, and you have Pyro go off, and then that's how you go off the air night one. That's it. I mean, good for Punk. He got his WrestleMania main event and win. Okay, but it's not exactly what he wanted, and there wasn't anything extra. So it's like, that can't be the extra. I love Heyman. Don't get me wrong. I love him. He's the way he does things. He deserves Emmys, honestly, for what he does on TV. But that can't be it. That is not enough to make this like a holy shit kind of a thing. It's not enough. There has to be more. It's just a question of, will we get more, or is that it?
Yeah. And that definitely should be answered eventually over the course of the next 2 weeks left up until WrestleMania.
Yeah, yep. We got 2 Raws and 2 SmackDowns.
Yeah, and there is a lot to. I guess you could say there is still a lot for them to fill out. There is still a lot to unravel.
To finalize. Yeah, there's still a lot to do in the next 2 weeks to finalize.
Yep. And we'll be here along with you guys to hopefully be excited about what they inevitably come
Yeah.
up with, because
Yes, hopefully. Or at least more so than now. Yes.
yeah. So right now it's kind of obviously like there's like it's WrestleMania, so you're not gonna be like completely like, oh, this is not interesting at all. But WrestleManias have been put out in the past where you can just say, oh yeah, that card was kind of mid, and it's like not a bad thing to kind of put it out in that fashion. So
Yeah, the hype is definitely not. The hype is not there.
as much as last
It's
year,
not.
no.
No, the hype is not there. But you can. Obviously, you're not going to get to that level of hype now. Just you're just not. But you can build the hype for the show or for the weekend, and then come that weekend, surprise the shit out of us and have us come out of it going, shouldn't have questioned you. That's what they need to do is by the time that weekend's over, we go, our bad. We shouldn't have questioned you. You gave us you gave us some good shit. You had us
Yeah.
thinking it wasn't going to be good, but you got us. That's what we need. That's what they need to do.
Yeah. And I think that might wrap it up for
Yeah.
this week's SmackDown.
Yep.
Like I said, as always, like we said in the beginning, middle, and the end. Um, Comment down below how you guys feel about the thoughts or whatever. You can talk about Tiffany. You can talk about Rock's bald head. You can talk about Charlotte being 0 for 3. Whatever you feel like you want to talk about in that comment section, go ahead. We'd love to hear it. Uh, as always, find the podcast on wherever you find your podcast inquiries. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, things of that nature. As always, social media wise, Twitter, PTP_99. I'm trying to tweet a little bit more, slowly but surely. And of course, the TikTok, same as the Twitter and G.
Uh, Gino's game on TikTok, turning real on Twitter,
Yep.
and here, of course.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys on Monday. Might have another upload this next week for you guys. I'm not gonna lie. It seems like gotta up the ante, gotta up the workload. Can't never get too stagnant around here. You feel me?
Well, yeah, we got to get prepped for WrestleMania. We got TV to review. We got other ideas for content that we're going to put up, and then obviously WrestleMania week, we're gonna be some tired ass mofo's because we got a lot. There's a lot to cover.
A lot to cover, a lot of wrestling for sure. And I'm not
Yep.
just talking about the E.
Nope.
But yeah. Once again, appreciate you guys for listening, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.